bring them from pan-India level and provide them job. So there are a lot of challenges for HR professionals in every industry today. But if you take business goal is a wealth creation, and any wealth creation should be measured by a measurement called EVA. There are a lot of challenges for HR professionals in every industry today. So the economic value addition, if you take business goal is a wealth creation, and any wealth creation should be measured by a measurement called EVA. There are a lot of challenges for HR professionals in every industry today. So the economic value addition, if you take business goal is a wealth creation, and any wealth creation should be measured by a measurement called EVA. There are a lot of challenges for HR professionals in every industry today. So the economic value addition, if you take business goal is a wealth creation, and any wealth creation should be measured by a measurement called EVA. So the economic value addition, if you take business goal is a wealth creation, uncertain world where they are expected to be more competent in more than one profession. That's what likely to emerge over a period of time. Next. See, now that my address is going to reduce to what are the expectations and what are the commitments. But I go beyond the what you call the definition of commitments, and I would like to add what is going to be our HR profession expected to deliver in terms of policies and practices. Okay, before next, whenever we talk about the expectation in our life, see, I still remember for one of my earlier organization, I was to sign an agreement. That is, a wage agreement was very popular in those days. So at Pune. So my union leader, Kulkarni, is actually Sivasena leader. He was our union leader. We had a wage settlement and almost we completed on our part. There was a general body at their union office. So this union leader started like this. I remember that. At the time, Aishwarya Rai was a very famous actress, and also that was a time when she was also declared as the most beautiful lady of the universe. So what happened, he was asking all the members, around 300 members gathered out of 1,000. As usual, union is always, if you go anywhere, union is not unionized, except handful number of people, they come and take an active part. So he was posting a question. Who all wants to, there are youngsters around 20-24 years old. Who all would like to have a Aishwarya Rai like women as a wife? So almost everybody raised their hand. Okay, it is, we all know it's very difficult to get Aishwarya Rai, but what is that you want to settle? The people started telling in their own language in Marathi, and they were telling something, and then this man started speaking. He said, hey, look here, we also wanted 3,000 rupees increase in wages, like Aishwarya Rai. But unfortunately, everyone cannot have that. Okay, so whatever the management said, around 1,000 plus with some incentive. So we have to take and then sign off the settlement. That's how we start. Still I remember that, because always when you have the expectation at workplace, the reality is something different. Right, whatever the generation expects, there's no doubt about it, and reality may be something else, but still there is, again, if you go back my algebraic equation what I have given in the beginning, the workplace is a combination of various generations. Of course, the baby boomers sooner or later will be phased out, but however the workplace will be a combination of X and Y and millennial and Z. That is what it's going to be. So naturally the aspiration and expectation of each generation differ, and their expectation is also totally different from the next generation. So that way, if you look at the expectation and reality, the visit as a generation, they may expect something. In reality, they are managed by people from baby boomer generation or X generation. So their expectation were something else. So naturally there is a wide conflict likely to arise in the workplace because of this mismatch of expectation. Now we move on to, I put all the expectation of this visit in 4 broader buckets, so that it will be easy for us to assimilate what this generation is really expecting from the employer or from the workplace. To start with, if you take who is the appealing employer? Who is the appealing employer is a general expectation of any of the visit. If you take visit, they look forward for good benefit package. You may think that I also as a X, or I also as a baby boomer, I was expecting X. It is not so, because the good benefit package is always a package. Every generation expects. Now their expectation is higher than the other generations. And if you take in terms of culture, they look forward for transparent, open culture. Basically, they would like to have an open door policy on all the matters. The company values, when it matches, then people stay. Here, I would like to make a mention. You may think that the company value matches or something. Even in India, you can see a lot of people leaving the industry and going for agriculture, going for their own avocation, which they feel that is better for them to suit. So now there are two revolutionary things happening elsewhere in the globe, in US basically. We talk about the great resignations. In Europe, in US, in Europe, great quit. So these are all the buzzwords which is going round and round in HR circles. If you open up any of the SHRM websites, there are a lot of articles is springing up on this. So if you take, this is basically the generation Z, they would like to have their own choice of employer. This is one of the reasons. And above all, if you look at this generation is looking forward the employer who goes beyond the profit. That's another element which they are looking forward while choosing their employer. The plentiful career development, and again the progression opportunity should be given to them at the least point in time, because unlike the previous generations where the people wait till they rise up in the hierarchy, it is not so with this generation. And also they look forward for freedom of thoughts and strong brand reputation of their employer. So the appealing employer, if you look at this appealing employer, is one important element which is the great expectation. Now, as an employer or as an HRM paternity, we have to look at are we having appeal for this category of generation, and this is going to be a very big question. And above all, this generation looks forward for a greater ethics and practices also. That is what the research findings are revealing. Next. The next second bucket, what I would like to explain is the job and job specs and other things, what they look at it. The first and foremost, they look forward for a flexible schedule. The flexible schedule, if you talk about, I would say even our government is thinking of flexible schedule, 4 days a week. Okay. It may have many implications for the industry, but still 4 days a week is already there on paper. When it is simply already, there are state governments, I mean there are some states, the MNCs, they started implementing this 4 days a week. They are starting with the 4 days a week and also employing the additional workforce. Then remote working is another expectation as a part of job. Then robust health care. And above all, they always look forward for coach and mentors. The coach and mentors become a buzzword as part of job perks. And they try to pursue a lot of online courses and with the help of employer sponsors, and also a formal in-class training also they look at. Later on we'll look at the practices, how HRM practices are going to impact this expectation. We'll see a little more in detail. Now moving on to the next important element which everyone should understand is reporting officer, how my reporting officer should be. So this is a very big challenge. If you take all the past surveys of McKinsey's or even Gallup MBA, you find that the people leave the organization because of the boss, not because of the perks or because of the salary or something. So if you look at this generation looks forward for the reporting officers with some set of expectation that needs to be fulfilled. One of the important is whether my boss is taking care of my well-being. So wait, sir. When I say yes, then you move on. Or you want to finish fast also, you can go. As you like. Right. So now, you see, the very important element is they would like to have the transparent performance criteria. The transparent performance criteria, see, if you look at now, we may be hearing it in bits and pieces. Even the administrative services in this country, where they try to have a CR, confidential report, closer to the chest in the government, that is going to be given up. Because the boss, what he writes, the subordinates, they do not know even in government, in the administrative services, that they are likely to bring amendment shortly. So when you look at this to meet, this will also meet out the expectation of this generation. See, the transparent performance criteria, a strong coaching skills, because the boss should have the strong coaching skills and impart knowledge. And similarly, a timely and regular recognition, that's what they expect. So the timely, regular recognition, if it is not there, they are not happy with bosses. And finally, they also expect their bosses to empower and also help them to deliver and manage all their work using the expertise of their boss. So that way you find that their expectation is very higher, which means normally the boss may belong to a different generation, so the boss should also akin with what is expected or what is happening in the environment and upgrade himself to match the expectation of the next generation. There is a recent study. If you go through that study, the pie diagram is presented here. What type of leadership is expected at workplace? This is a question posted to, this study was conducted across Asian countries, and more data are collected, and where, according to this study, actually in fact this study was conducted by, you are all very familiar, Goldman was a person coined the word emotional intelligence. So he conducted this study across the globe and more so in the Asian countries. And the emerging trend is this: 25% of the people, they feel democratic leadership style they want, and another 25% they want a coaching style of leadership, which means the reporting officer should have democratic and coaching style. So this is the style with which the reporting officers they expect. So beyond that, the other elements also there, like visionary, affiliative, pace setting and commanding. All these things are there. The least one would be commanding. So this clearly shows that how our behavior should be when you go to the website to deal with the generation visit. It's going to be a real challenge. Next slide. So this is the third important buckets, the leadership style, what we discussed now with that pie diagram. And you find that the democratic leadership are reaching consensus before taking any decisions. That is what they expect. And coaching is a goal orientation, give advice and monitoring the results. So these two elements or these two characteristics are very key to success for the reporting officers in the coming days, while more and more result gets into your workforce. Next, sir. Finally, the expectation ends with the career goals. The career goals, if you take the very interesting part of the career goals, they would like to have a better work balance, unlike a baby boomer or X or Y. They want to take time off, they want to go and spend their vacation. Even on a small incident in the neighborhood, they absent themselves from the work site. So these are all the common phenomena of a visit. The visit is basically good at work-life balance. If everything goes by this finding, definitely the marital discord or the family-related social problems will come down in India. So this is one of the good finding of the next generation, because they focus on the family. If you go back, you look at this, again they go it as the builders. That's well before the baby boomers, we call that generation as the builders. So the builders, we had many people in the family where they had probably brother, sister, everything. It will be like a small village not a joint family, it was a small village. Then when we moved to the baby boomer, it was a joint family. Then from X we moved to Y, it became a nuclear family. Now Z and alpha, it is suggested by social psychologists. Now itself we are seeing the living in and other kinds of marital relationship. So that would continue, and finally the people live in separation. That is what predicted for generation alpha who born after 2012. Okay, let us not hope that in India, because we are culturally and also spiritually stronger, and we are different people compared to other parts of the world. Because still I feel that the joint family exists in packets, if not, still the joint family comes back when there is a occasion to come together, so that bonding has not lost. Okay, going by another thing, and always he wants to do what he is fascinated. He is not interested in what his parents or his colleagues or his environment demands. So this is another important element what you got to notice with reference to Gen Z. Make a positive impact on my organization. That is a thrust with which the wizard work. Because the wizard feels that the organization, because they are consciously, unconsciously, they are worried, they are more worried about the brand. If you take the employer branding, which is in a very rudimentary stage as of now, this will gain momentum. We have more and more workforce in the, if you have more and more wizard in your workforce. Now, there are two elements what was prohibited by our X generation, or even to some extent Y generation. That is we call it as a moonlighting, where the people take employment with a multiple employer. So that was construed as misconduct. But with the wizard, they feel that their competency should be improved. They are looking forward for more and more multiple job opportunities. And in the coming days, I would say that the future of work will be more of employing the part-time people or more specialist part-time people than the specialist with multiple competency for a full-time. So this is bound to come. Already it is happening in most developed countries, and this will come to India because of the globalization. Next, sir. So these four elements what we have seen, these are all the broader expectation of this one. So to finish the expectation, I put this picture where the wizard, they always live in the edge of expectation. As we have started off with the expectation versus reality. So when they live in edge of expectation, you can expect more and more parting from your organization if you have major workforce belonging to this particular generation. So in summary substance, the research findings of some of the leading researchers and scholars shows clearly the retention is going to be the greatest challenge for the future HR also. So the expectation, while summing up the expectation, we move on to the second part of my delivery, that is commitments of wizard generation. Some people, the wizard generation, they call it as I-Gen also. They refer it as I-Gen, and some they call it as W3. So there are different names are there. If you look at here, the commitments, I would like to give you a very brief note. This construct, that is this concept we call it as in research. This concept came into existence somewhere in 1963. One scholar by name Argan, he was in Australia, he started researching this. If you go and then search in any research journals, you find that without his name reference, subject of commitments at workplace will not end. If you take, Argan has done quite a lot of research for more than 4 decades. He has brought out 17 different types of commitments at workplace. 17 different types of commitment. The last one he was telling a career commitment. where he deliberates a career commitment. Is it individuals? We will say that in HR, we are planning your career, but he says that career is planned by the individual. So emphatically he gives a lot of data in support of his claim. So that way, if you look at, the organ has brought more than 17 different types of commitments. Out of that, I would like to take up 3 very key commitments at workplace. The next, which involves effective commitments, that is one. And second is continuous commitment. The third one is, the next slide. So the third one is, you have the normative commitment. The affective commitment is more of emotional. Now, if you want, you can go to previous slide also, because that the explanation is that what is affective commitment. So the affective commitment is more of a emotional commitment attached to your organization. So the continuous commitment is whether you have any intention to leave the organization or continue with the organization, the continuance commitment. Whereas the normative commitment, it's more of, if you leave, what would be the cost to the organization or cost to the individual, that is a point at which it is being debated. So all these 3 commitments will take out of the 17 listed out by the noted scholar Organ, and who coined this word commitment with reference to workplace, where if you go by these 3 different commitments, how it looks like for the Gen Z, and also how it looks like these commitments should unfold in most of our HRM practices. That's more important and key to our success. If you look at here, this commitment, affective and continuance and normative, all the 3 commitments are very, very important and essential. Emotional bonding, if you look at, why should I resign from an organization? So this is very crucial question to every HR. Even your boss or your CEO will ask you, why this guy is resigning, I do not know. So immediately we say that, sir, he expects more salary, sir, which we may not be able to match. So this would be the standard reply we normally give. If you look at, I would suggest, I would find one important element. When emotional disconnect is taking place for a person, then naturally he goes and resigns, which means the affective commitment is lost, then the person would like to part. We can give any number of examples for affective commitment and why affective commitment is lost. There are various reasons they leave. The moment they feel that there is an emotional disconnect. Emotional disconnect may come internally or by the department or by the environment. Environment also influences, which means the labor market or the market where you source the people. So, or you are competing employer. So that way the affective commitment is influenced not only by the internal factors, it is also influenced by the external factors. More so here with reference to Gen Z, it is getting influenced by their characteristics and also their expectation. Move. The next slide. So there is one more slide, it is there. Just move. Yeah. You see this picture. What comes to your mind? Well, the 4th generation is there. Look at the dressing itself. Right. How human evolves. See how human evolves. This naturally they probably, if you go by this picture, I assume that they all belong to, they are under one umbrella, but still their preference and choices differ because of the gen gap. So this is where you have to understand. So then when you talk about the what we are going to deliberate, previous slide, what we are going to deliberate here is what kind of HRM practices which hold back this category of visit. So this we have to look at. Here, one size, will it fit all? Go back to that, the next slide. Again, one size or one design or one style will not fit all. So naturally the HRM practitioner, if they have a multiple generation people working for them, then they'll have a challenges, and it is going to be a true challenge for every one of us. Move on. If you look at here, the need for a commitment-oriented HRM practices. If you review the literature, there are HRM practices which are commitment-creating HRM practices. The commitment-creating HRM practices are more important. As I explained in my delivery, that there are 17 out of 3 are very vital, important commitments, which involves effective and continuous and normative commitments. And if you take these 3, and what kind of HRM practices we have to go through, and I have chosen some 3 or 4 important HRM practices, because I should leave the space for others to deliberate and then complete this process of this seminar. So to start with, I have taken the recruitment and selection. Next one. The recruitment and selection, if you take, basically the people born in a social networking world, this particular generation visit. So naturally you can find them only in social media. I don't know how many of you are going through the social media check for reference. I do check social media very frequently and see their postings, and also read their ideas, read their minds, and also not only the new recruits and also the existing people who belong to this, and also millennial and visit, it is merged group. So we used to check these details. And more so if you take LinkedIn, that gives a lot of talent pool. From there you can source good people, and definitely you would like to have more visit in your workforce. The best source is LinkedIn, where you get a lot of across the globe. Even the affiliate, we used to get even applicants from abroad for our job. So that way you find you can search and get more and more number of people. And more so we have to look at, now our country itself become multicultural and multi-ethnical environment, where the visit also expects the brand and brand image. So naturally the organization should improve the brand and brand image to recognize the talent acquisition. Talent acquisition now requires the brand building of our company. Now we move on to the second important practice, that is induction and retention. In the induction and retention, let us take informal attire. If you go through, the people want to keep bird and wearing skinny jeans, work from home. These are all some of the manifestation of Gen Z, right? When you have this kind of people, I have come with a cleanly shaved face. But I am very well known in my circle. I am called Dadigarandan, and I used to keep bird. But after some time, when I joined in one particular organization, they felt that, not my current organization, they felt that you should not keep bird and you should come with a clean shaved face. So I got to change to meet the expectation. I do not know how they will manage in the future years. So when you look at these kind of people, even if they appear for an interview as an HR, we feel little hesitant to interview them. So this is one area which is very clear with reference to induction and retention. And another important element is communication. See, I'll tell you, if I do anything wrong, what I will say normally? Sorry. But that language is something different. I'm learning the language because of two compulsion. One is I do a lot of paperwork for journals, and also I do a lot of discussion with across student community in other countries. So that way I had an opportunity to interact. See, when I say sorry, that clearly shows that we belong to well before millennial. If you are a millennial or if you are a wizard, I say my bad. So that is a language. I got a lot of, even if I want, I'll send you a paper on this, on a communication. That language cannot be understood. When I say my bad, then you should say that it's a sorry. You have to understand that it is sorry. Then we then say, then you will be perplexed. What you say, this fellow VVV. VV means very good, very good. So we'll have to leave it there. So like that, the list of languages what they speak and list of conversation what they have between them across, you find that it's very difficult. ஒரு தமிழ் படத்தில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு I forgot that name, some அதில் வந்து ஏ அப்படின்னு ஒரு இது சொல்லுவோம், ஆனா ஏ சொல்லு, அது மாதிரி கற்றுக்கிட்டுன்னு சொல்லுவோம். அது மாதிரி இவன் லாங்குவேஜெல்லாம் வந்து A to Z I got a communication, but I'm not in a position to share everything I have picked up one or two. So that way they got a language. When you say A, they got a small a with a different connotation, and it communicates differently. So that way the communication is something different. Their informal attire and their appearance is different. I belong to X or I'm a baby boomer. On the face of it, I'll reject them also for an employment. Or I will say that, why do you have that? I'll tell you, one person had a different hairstyle. Okay, he had a Tirupati route போகிற மாதிரி ஒரு அந்த போட்டு வந்தால் நல்லா இருந்தான். But he was really good and excellent. Then I said, why not you change your hairstyle after some time? He didn't turn back for the second round of interview. I'm telling you honestly, this is a fact. So then, see, I also learned at the age of 64. I tried to reinnovate myself to adapt to the upcoming culture and upcoming people. Otherwise, I cannot stay. And one good thing for me, fortunate enough that I moved with youngsters in many, some of the notable campus. So that way I am able to be with the youth, understand what they really want from us. So that way if you look at this in HRM practice, in the induction, selection, retention, all these elements, we have to be very, 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 very careful in future years. More and more the wizard gets into your workforce, you'll have a problem. And another important element, I don't know, some of you might have come across. The moment you call them for an interview, what is a JD? Okay. In yesteryear, we go by the job title. But job title doesn't signify anything. That is a different issue altogether. But today, immediately when you say, sir, what is a JD? Of late I find that what would be my role in this, sir? What would be the role of my reporting officer? That also they wanted to signify. If you go by this question, today we may not be able to wriggle out the role of CEO. CEO is a more of orchestra coordinating all the functions and sitting over there, but overall he has got more responsibility than any functional aides. So that way, if you ask these questions to yesterday CEO, you will get hurted. So today the youngsters especially belong to this segment. They want to know roles and responsibility even well before walking into your cabin to attend the interview. So that way, this is another challenge what you will face. And helping work-life balance. Helping work-life balance will be a real challenge, because helping work-life balance, if you look at very important aspect which we have seen also with reference to employer choice and preferences in the expectation, they are not for shorter hours of work, they are for longer hours of work. Not that they want some 8 hours and wash off, and it's not. They want to work longer hours. At the same time, they want to have an equal number of off time or off days to attend to their family needs. So that way, they are very clear in their orientation and objectives with reference to work-life balance. Then, coming to these interactions, they would like to have more coaching and mentoring. So that is one thing which they always very fond of, because they know that the world they are living, it's differentiated by knowledge rather than by anything else. So that way, the second important practices which need reorientation, induction and retention. We move on to the third important practice, which is a compensation. The compensation is always year on year, it is a real challenge for every one of us. This is a compensation year, a very important, very key issue is the employees' life stage related compensation they expect. So this is one element which is killing most of the US companies. That is what the report says, where the compensation and benefits, they want a tailor-made. It is not a standard. We talk about the CTC with these components. They don't want that. So it should move along. Say, for example, I give a perks of, say, 30% of my base pay or something. That 30% I should have the liberty to define for which benefit I should draw. Or in other words, probably as an employer or HR fraternity, we can prepare a menu card within which this menu card you can choose. This year I got to send my children for education in a good school. Then the education benefits as a perks, it should be taking 20 or 25% of 30% of allocated money. So this kind of expectation they have with reference to the life stage and economic and physical needs. So this is one important element what we should make a note. And the second one is higher education. They take off and then go for higher education. This is quite phenomenal. And any employer who is willing to support the higher education, that is also another retention strategy what they can see. And purchase and subscribe various magazines and subscription to gym. They are very conscious about their physique also, but at the same time, most of the people, they also suffer with obesity because of their own junk food what they prefer to take. And this is a compensation area where their main expectation is extended period of leave. You say that you have got only 36 days of this, 40 days of that, so they don't care. So this extended period of leave is going to be another important element. They want maternity, paternity and marriage and so on and so forth. Here you find that paternity leave has already come in to stay in most of the companies, even in India. Okay, next is a training focus. When you look at the training focus of various generation, I have written down here, whereas this generation look at multimodal delivery of training and e-learning, and more they would like to have the interactive kind of a training process. And the next important, the learning format, they would like to have more of a visuals rather than abstracts and other thing. And student-centric, it should be more of a student-centric, and it should have the, having not one subject at one point in time. They would like to pursue many subjects at one point in time. So that is another expectation of this generation. And finally, if you look at their learning environment is something where it is like launch, where they try to stay and then take a bite and then go through the process of learning. So they don't like to have the very structured and sitting over for like all of us sitting over here and then doing. See, they don't like to go more than 70 minutes or 80 minutes, not more than that. They don't like to spend on learning any new things. And there are multi-stimulus they would like to have. They do not like to have one stimulus and then multi-stimulus is another area where they are looking at. So when you go through this kind of changes in your workforce composition, what percentage you have, that determines. Definitely we will have more and more visit coming to your workforce, merging with millennials as time moves. So naturally the millennials is a borderline people will also fall within the category because it's not a watertight compartment. So naturally their expectation will be same. So when you look at this, are we ready to change ourselves, change our policies and procedures and our practices akin to the expectation of this category of generation? It is a very big question mark. We got to change over a period of time. Already a lot of changes have come in many areas. If you go back and then look at the one critical area, the performance management system, the changes, what they require is setting the goal and then setting the criteria for evaluation, not only setting the goal and setting the criteria for evaluation. So we will have the exterior goal whether achieved or not achieved, or intermediary you achieve 70%, 80%. Here they want to have the criteria, if I don't achieve, what will happen? If I achieve 1/4 of it, what will happen? So the criteria is also becoming more and more emphasized. Finally, before wrapping up my delivery, I thought that I have taken a very notable and reliable consulting firm of the operating at global level. They have done a lot of survey and hypothesized this particular generation. So far as their career aspiration is concerned, they interact with their personal lives opposed to the industries. They are not frequent changer of job. The Deloitte predicts that Wizard changes 3 to 4 jobs in their lifetime. So that is the expectation and prediction as of now. Coming to the career development, they are willing to have a diverse career, as I told you, the moonlighting and multiple jobs, and also they want to have entrepreneurial oriented opportunities. And already entrepreneurial-oriented opportunities have come in the companies like Accenture, where the individual wants to do a job they can do, they can also become entrepreneurial and develop some kind of, even Google, and there are a lot of companies, not in manufacturing. Other than manufacturing, you find a lot of opportunities given for the people to go for entrepreneurial opportunities and work. And however, this particular generation will remain loyal, but so long as their expectations are met. And going back to their working styles, they prefer individual task over the team-based activities. However, they don't prefer to live individually, not in isolation, but they want to live in group, but at the same time, they are more preferred individual task rather than the team-based activities. And the core values, if you look at, financial security is over the personal fulfillment. This is one important element for all EMI group. So the personal fulfillment takes over the financial security. Unlike the previous generation, they are more worried about the financial security. Here it is not so. Then, ethics and practices and social impact. In these areas, they are the front runners. If you take ethics and practices and social impact, they do a lot of work. That is what worldwide noticed. Even I myself noticed when last flood was there in the city of Chennai, a lot of youngsters run around and help the people. And that was one point which I noticed. That's a core value of the Gen Wizard. That is what the Deloitte research findings are revealing. Going back to the behavior and characteristics, they are more attached to social media. They want to voice through the social media, and they are not bothered about the implications of their views, and they express it candidly and clearly. And above all, they like the diversity along with the different lines than the generation before. Their diversity is something different. They would like to work with the global level people. So that is a diversity what they expect. So in conclusion, I would like to say, is there any generation exist? This is a fundamental question. It is still going on in one school of thought. The other school of thought, they say that there are generation exist. Both ways it is getting argued in many forums. Yes, there is a generation exists. A lot of research work supports that the generation is getting influenced by the technology. So when I was a youngster or a childhood days, the radio was my pet. Today, if you go and ask my grandson, he is soaked into a smartphone. Okay, so that is the difference. Again, the man becomes a kind of a slave to the equipment. Okay, so that way the equipment influences our lifestyle, our behavior, our outlook, our core values, etc. So that way I strongly believe generation exists, and generation Z is a most welcoming generation for one reason: they are socially highly conscious and they voice their views on social issues without mincing word, because the previous generation நமக்குன்னா வந்து நம்ம இதில் வந்து நமக்கு வம்பு வரும், இதை பற்றி நம்ம பேசக்கூடாது அப்படின்ற மாதிரி ஒரு attitude and behavior. So that way the generation alpha will be more severe on all the social issues and political issues we can expect. So that way in a concluding part I would say the expectations are different for Visit, and their commitment levels to the employer is very high so long as their core values matches the values of the employer, and definitely they deliver better results, but provided you should have the avenue for whistleblowing where they can come and then share their views about your way of conducting your business. So this is very critical, which is going to be. And criticism normally the previous generation may not like about their activity. So there is bound to come the conflicts. So let us, as a HR fraternity, by putting forth good HRM practices, meeting out the expectation of various generation which are coming into our workforce, and make our workforce, make our workplace a better place for everyone to come and work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session. Please have your seat, sir. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is a foundation of all abundance. Let us honor our sponsors now. I invite Mr. Sairan Singutuvin to honor the SMVC group. I request Dr. N.S.N. Kailasam, Placement Officer, Shri Manakula Vinayagar Engineering College, to receive the honors. I request the representative from SMVC to come forward to collect the honors. Sairan sir, please come on to the dais. Mr. Chandra Mohan will receive the honors on behalf of Dr. N.S.N. Kailasam. They are our gold sponsors. Can we have Mr. Varadarasu to honor the MBIT group? On behalf of Dr. Malarkannan, Principal of Manakula Vinayagar Institute of Technology, the honors will be received by Dr. Bhaskaran, Head of the Department of Management Studies, MVIT. I request the team to join them. They are the gold sponsors again. I request Mr. Balamurali to come forward to honor Mr. John Victor from Logskin Solutions. They are our gold sponsors. I request Mr. Dhanasega from Logskin to please join us on the dais. They are our gold sponsors. I invite Mr. Gopu to honor Mr. Murugan from Marvel Management. There are gold sponsors. Please, sir, please join them. Lokeshwari, I request you to come forward to honor Mr. Krishnamurthy of Workaholic. They are our gold sponsors again. I invite Mr. Purushothaman to please come forward to honor Ms. Tamilchelvi, Senior Executive HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited. They are a silver sponsor. I request Mr. Vinod Kumar to come forward to honor Mr. Anand, Branch Manager, GDA Security. They are a silver sponsor. I request Mr. Sai Arun to come forward to honor Padma's catering team. On behalf of Mr. Suresh, Ms. Ranjana will receive the honors. They are our silver sponsors. I invite Ms. Nisha to come forward to honor Mr. Sendil of Sai Saktishwari Group. Please join with us with your team. They are a silver sponsor. I invite Ms. Yogalakshmi to come forward to the dais to do the honors to Mr. Nandakumar, Joint Managing Director, Librax Rubber Line Limited. They are a silver sponsor. Yeah, please. Okay. Yeah. Anybody can. I welcome Mr. Chandrasekhar Dwivedi, General Manager, Fastenex Private Limited, to come forward to the dais, and I welcome you to the event, sir. I request Bhuvaneshwari to honor, sir. Thank you. Sir, please stay back on the dais. I request the other dignitaries to join us on the dais. We are calling the calendar, we are calling people. Which one? I'm going to do that. No. I request the other dignitaries to join on the dais, please. I request Mr. Nandakumar to come forward on the dais. I I request M.V. Kannan, Dr.M.Ramakrishnan, Vijay Kumar, Siddhartha Nandy, Ms.Andal.G, Dr. Bhaskaran to join us on the dais, please, along with our new team, Mr. Harihara Pandian and Mr. Varadarasu. Please take your seats. I'm going to do the... Okay. Mr. Nandakumar M. is a first-generation entrepreneur and an alumnus of Loyola College, Chennai, and is a qualified accountant and trainer in ISO 9001 QMS. He has over 35 years of experience across various manufacturing industries, from material handling to anti-corrosive rubber linings. Over the past 30 years at Librax Rubber, he has worn many hats, be it in the space of people management, marketing, product engineering, or client interaction. He has made Librax Rubber a leader in the field of fabrication and rubber linings in the country. This has brought the organization global recognition, and Librax Rubber has entered into joint venture with overseas companies in Europe and the Middle East. He has traveled extensively in India and overseas. Nandakumar is active in Confederation of Indian Industries Pondi to represent and bring attention to the important contributions made by the various industries located here at a national level. He was the chairman of CII Puducherry State Council for the year 2018 and 19. He received the National Award Outstanding Entrepreneur 2018 instituted by Consortium of State Industrial Development Corporations, which was nominated by PIBDIC Puducherry. He is currently the chairman of the Management Council of the Government ITI at Puducherry and is on the Board of Studies of Pondicherry Engineering College. We thank Mr. Krishnaraj for introducing Mr. Nandakumar to Puducherry Human Resource Circle. I call upon Mr. Seren Sengutuvan and Mr. Vinod Kumar to the dais, and I request Mr. Nandakumar to release the monthly complaints calendar to Mr. Seren and Vinod. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, dignitaries. Let us have a break and meet you all after 15 minutes. Thank you. Yes, sir. One second, please hold on. Just give us a second, please. Yes, sir.
You say after you. After you. Yeah.
I am Dr. Bhaskaran. I'm a police officer. I just want to appreciate and to give honor to Mr. Ramakrishnan. He was deliberating a huge thing in English. அது வந்து ஆக்சுவலா என்னுடைய டாக்டரேட் டிகிரியோடைய ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட் இன் இங்கிலீஷ். நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். அவர் சொன்ன பாயிண்ட் வந்து இப்போ இருக்கிற யங்கர் ஹெச்ஆருக்கு வந்து ஒரு நியூக்ளியஸ் யூ ஹவ் டு டெவலப் ஆன் தட். என்னன்னு கேட்டா அந்த காலத்தில் வில்லேஜ் பேஸ்ட் லைஃப் இருந்தது. அப்போ ஒவ்வொரு பிள்ளைங்களும் அவங்க அப்பா அம்மா சொத்தை நம்பி இருந்தாங்க. அவங்க அப்பா அம்மா சொத்து கொடுக்கலன்னா அவங்க கதை நாரிடும். அவங்க அந்த வில்லேஜை விட்டு வெளியே போக மாட்டாங்க. இன்னைக்கு குளோபல் வில்லேஜ் ஆயிடுச்சு. அப்போ அப்பா அம்மா சொத்து அவசியம் இல்லை. அப்பா அம்மா சம்பாரிச்சு கொடுத்து தான் பிள்ளைங்க மேலே வரணும் அவசியம் இல்லை. அப்பா அம்மா 50 வருஷமா சம்பாரிச்சு சேர்த்து வச்ச ஒரு பொருளை இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற ஜெனரேஷன் 2 மாசம் சம்பளத்தில் வாங்கிடுவாங்க. ஸோ ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக there is no tolerance. அவங்களுக்கு சகிப்புத்தன்மை கிடையாது. இந்திய ஜெனரேஷன் இஸ் அட்டாச்டு டு எமோஷனலிட்டி. அவங்கவுங்க அன்னன்னைக்கு உடனே கிடைக்கிற சுகத்தை தான் நம்பி இருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ இது உண்மை. நம்ம 1000 பேசிக்கலாம், அது வேற. அதாவது அவர் சொன்ன ரியாலிட்டி, நம்ம வச்சிருக்கிற சட்டம் வந்து ஐடியல். அந்த காலத்தில் சின்ன வில்லேஜா இருக்குள்ள அப்பா அம்மா சொத்தையே நம்பி வாழ்ந்த காலத்தில் இருந்த சட்டம், இட் இஸ் கால்ட் ஐடியல். பட் ரியாலிட்டி இஸ் டோட்டலி டிஃப்ரெண்ட். லஞ்சம் நம்ம சாதா சமயத்தில் வாங்கினா தப்பு, எலெக்ஷன் சமயத்தில் கொடுத்தா தப்பு. சட்டம் மாறல, அதே தான். நல்லா புரிஞ்சுங்க, ஐடியல் அண்ட் ரியாலிட்டி. ஸோ அந்த ஐடியல் அண்ட் ரியாலிட்டியை he had expressed in a different way as generation. வேற ஒன்றுமே கிடையாது, ஜெனரேஷனுக்காக. அதே சமயத்தில் மிஸ்டர் ஹரிகரன் given a solution. அந்த சொல்யூஷனை ஹைலைட் பண்ணுறதுக்காக தான் நான் இப்போ மெயினாக இங்கே மேலே வந்தேன். தி HRs, நீங்கள் தான் வந்து ஒவ்வொரு இண்டஸ்ட்ரியோ இல்லை வாட் எவர் மேபி தி குரூப், யூ ஆர் தி பேக் போன் லிங்கிங் தி மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் அண்ட் தி லேபர்ஸ். அவர் கொடுத்த சொல்யூஷன் ஒன்னே ஒன்று என்னன்னா, ஆப்ஷனல் தியரி. அவர் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் பண்ணது வந்து ஆப்ஷனல் தியரி. ஸோ எப்போதுமே டு டெக்கரேட் எனி ஜாப், அதாவது இப்போ எனக்கு ஒரு பொறுப்பு கொடுக்குறாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் அந்த பொறுப்பை அலங்கரிச்சாதான் அந்த பொறுப்பு மேலே எனக்கு ஆசை வரும். அப்போ அந்த அலங்கரிக்கிறது தான் வந்து ஃப்ரிஞ்ச் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ். அந்த ஃப்ரிஞ்ச் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் என்னன்னா, ஒவ்வொரு மனுஷனுக்கும் ஒவ்வொரு நோக்கங்கள் இருக்கும், விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷன். பட் அந்த விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷன் வந்து ஸ்டேபிள் கிடையாது, இட் கீப்ஸ் ஆன் சேஞ்சிங். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு எனக்கு இந்த வருஷத்துக்கு இந்த மாசத்துக்கு எனக்கு என்ன தேவை, அதே அடுத்த மாசத்துக்கு பார்த்தா அது கிடையாது, அதே போன வருஷத்துக்கு பார்த்தா அது கிடையாது. ஸோ அவர் விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷன் கீப் ஆன் சேஞ்சிங். ஸோ நம்மளுடைய மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டையும் நம்ம கீழே இருக்கிற லேபர்ஸையும் டு ஹாவ் அ கிரிப் ஆன் இன்டெகிரிட்டி. அந்த இன்டெகிரிட்டியில நம்ம மெர்ஜி பண்ணணும். ஏன்னா ரெசிக்னேஷன்ன்றது வந்து இட் இஸ் நாட் சப்ஜெக்ட் டு எனி பர்டிகுலர் மேட்டர், இட் மே டிஃபர் பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் எமோஷனல் தியரி. அதனால நீங்க என்ன ஃப்ரிஞ்ச் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் நீங்க டிக்ளேர் பண்ணிருக்கிறீங்களோ, அவர் சொன்ன மாதிரி 30%க்கே வந்துடுறேன். அந்த 30% யூ மேக் இட் ஆப்ஷனல் எவ்ரிவேர், so that the individual selects to its own capacity. அதாவது அவருக்கு குவார்டர்லியா டிக் பண்ணிக்கிட்டோம், ஆஃப் இயர்லியா டிக் பண்ணிட்டோம், ஆனுவல் டிக் பண்ணிட்டோம். ஏன்னு கேட்டால் ஒவ்வொரு வாட்டியும் அவருடைய எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் வேற. ஏன்னா he is a social being. அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் அந்த கூட்டு குடும்பம்ன்றது சுத்தமாக நம்ம எட்டி வச்சுட்டு வெளியே வந்துட்டோம். ஒரு காலத்தில் எப்படி தனித்தனி கம்ப்யூட்டர் வச்சுருந்தோமோ அதே மாதிரி இப்போ தனித்தனி குடும்பம் ஆயிட்டோம். பட் ஒன்ஸ் அகெயின் we are going to merge as a cloud. நல்லா தெரியும், கம்ப்யூட்டரில் இண்டிவிஜுவல் கம்ப்யூட்டர் போய் அதுக்கப்புறம் சர்வர் போய் இப்போ கிளவுடுக்கு வந்துருக்கிறோம். அதே மாதிரி நம்மளுடைய இந்திய கலாச்சாரம், அவர் தெளிவாக சொன்னார், குளோபலும் நம்மளும் சமம் கிடையாதுன்னு. கரெக்டு. நம்மளுடைய கலாச்சாரம் தாய்மை கலாச்சாரம். அந்த தாய்மை கலாச்சாரம் உள்ள நம்ம கிட்ட டிஎன்ஏல இருக்கு. இது யாரும் கற்றுக் கொடுக்கறது இல்லை. டிஎன்ஏ நல்லா யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. கிறிஸ்தவங்க கிட்ட போயிட்டு இயேசுநாதர் இல்லைன்னு சொன்னா ஒத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க, முஸ்லீம் கிட்ட போய் அல்லாஹ் இல்லைன்னு சொன்னா ஒத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க. ஆனால் இந்து கிட்ட போயிட்டு சாமி இல்லைன்னு சொல்லி ஆமான்னு சொல்லி யாரையாவது ஒரு பப்ளிக் ஃபோரத்தில் கேட்டால் 2 கட்டானில் குழப்பி விட்டு அப்பால போயிடுவாங்க. ஏன்னா நமக்கு ஏன் வம்பு. ஸோ என்னன்னா, நமக்கு தி ஸ்ட்ராங் பேஸ் இல்லை. என்னது, ஒரு பில்டிங் ஸ்ட்ராங்கு ஆனால் பேஸ் வீக்ன்ற கதை. ஸோ வி ஹாவ் டு கம் அவுட் ஆஃப் தட் and to develop an ambient in the factorial atmosphere. ஏன்னா தொழிற்சாலைகள் தான் நாளைய உலகத்தை நிர்ணயிக்கிறது. அதனால அதோடைய பேக்போன் HR. நீங்க ஆப்ஷனல் தியரியை அடாப்ட் பண்ணா நல்லா இருக்கும். அதுதான் இன்னைய ஜெனரேஷன். ரியாலிட்டிக்கு வாங்க. ஐடியலிசம், சட்டம், IPC, CRPC அதெல்லாம் ஐடியல். அந்த ஐடியல்லே இருந்தா கரெக்ட். ஆனா இன்னைய வாழ்க்கை ஐடியலை விட்டு மாறிடுது. அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி சட்டத்தை மாற்ற வேண்டியது நம்மளுடைய கடமை. ஏன்னா as per the constitution it is for the people by the people. ஸோ இந்த தேரியை அவர் ராமகிருஷ்ணன் சார் ரொம்ப சிம்பிளாக அவருடைய ஓவரால் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை சொன்னார். அது நிறைய பேருக்கு புரிஞ்சுதான் தெரியல. ஏன்னா அவர் முடிச்சுட்டு போகல, யாரும் கை தட்டல. அதனால தான் நான் இங்கே வந்து உங்களுக்கு தமிழில் சொல்கிறேன். அவருக்கு ஒரு நல்ல கிளாப்ஸ் கொடுத்தா நல்லாயிருக்கும். தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you made my job easy. Thank you. And over to you, Nandakumar, sir.
Good morning to all of you and to the dignitaries on the dais. Just a few words to thank Kannan for having called me here and for having given me this opportunity. It's been wonderful. Kannan has, for the last 5 years, been asking me to come and attend this convention. Unfortunately, I've never been able to do it the last 4 years. It's a privilege to see so many of you here today. Wonderful effort being done by the Puducherry HR Circle. Being an industrialist, as they mentioned, for the last 30-35 years, I know how difficult it is to be in your profession. You make a lot of things easy for us in the management. In normal circumstances, it's tough, but the last 2 years, you have played a very pivotal role in maintaining the various SOPs, various directives of the government, and I know it's been a challenging time. On behalf of all the industrialists, I would like to congratulate the HR team for the wonderful job you guys have done in the last 2 years and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of appreciation and for being with us here today. And let's have the tea break now, and we'll meet after 15 minutes. Thank you.
I'm also baby boomer, sir, so. As I said, I'm also baby boomer.
Student volunteers? Can I have some of the student volunteers quickly? Please arrange the chairs. Chairs, arrange it, no, quickly. Arrange பண்ணிக்கிட்டே So let's have the next event. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. The official newsletter of Puducherry Human Resource Circle is a so-called Bloom. We are extremely happy to release the third edition of Bloom. I request the following dignitaries to come forward to the dais. Mr. M.V. Kannan, Dr.M.Ramakrishnan, Mr. C.S. Dwivedi, Mr. Vijay Kumar, Mr.Siddhartha Nandy, Ms.Andal.G to kindly come forward to the dais for the release of the newsletter. I request DD sir to join them. I request the Vice President of PDY-HRC, Mr. Harihara Pandian, to join. And Mr. Varadarasu, the Secretary, to join us. Can we have Dr. Bhaskaran on the dais, please? He's left. Bhaskaran sir, please join us on the dais. The office bearers, please come forward, Ms. Bhuvaneshwari and Mr. Balamurali. So to repeat it again, we are very happy to release the 3rd edition of Bloom. I request Dr. S. Bhaskaran, Superintendent of Police, to release the newsletter along with Mr. Balamurali. I request Ms. Nisha to receive it in the presence of the guests. Tamachelvi, come forward. Satish Kumar, please come forward of the editorial committee. So let us have the release now. I request Bhaskaran sir and Balamurali sir to release it and Nisha to receive it. I also request Ms. Lokeshwari to release the e-newsletter in the group. I request the team to distribute the copies of the newsletters to our dignitaries. Can you please Thank you so much. The newsletter has a crossword puzzle. Please share your responses to Puducherry Human Resource Circle's official WhatsApp number at the end of the day. A surprise gift lies in store for the winner in the next monthly meeting. So I request the panel members to stay back on the dais for the panel discussion and to take their honorable seats. I request the student volunteers to help them out. Senior Executive HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited, to introduce our panel members.
Happy afternoon to the guests on the dais and off the dais. I take this opportunity to introduce our panel members for their panel discussions on the complementary role of HR in achieving business goals. It's my privilege to start with Mr. Dwivedi, General Manager, Fastenex Private Limited. Welcome, sir. Sir is an electronics and communication engineer by profession with 40 years of working experience in IT hardware manufacturing function with balanced exposure to product technology, manufacturing technical and management processes, quality management principles and tools, people management leadership roles, senior management's core business objectives and strategies, both long-term and short-term, liaison with policy-making senior administrative personnel in government, and active involvement in leading reputed industry associations and approach towards synergistic relationship building between industry and government. Mr. Dwivedi has a strong exposure to managing independently 2 remote manufacturing units of more than 1,500 highly mixed profile people. Complex business model of build to order and with annual sales turnover of rupees 2,500 crores from these manufacturing locations. Currently, for the last 3 years, he is a part of an automobile fasteners manufacturing unit with more than 800 people in coaching and mentoring role for the senior management team. Mr. Dwivedi sincerely believes that HR is the key to long-term sustainable success for the organization and truly passionate about unleashing the human potential in the business environment. We thank Mrs. Bhuvaneshwari for introducing Mr. Dwivedi to Puducherry Human Resource Circle. It's my honor to introduce Mr. J.Vijay Kumar, Chief Human Resource Officer of Chemfab Group. Welcome, sir. Mr. Vijay comes with a versatile experience of 29 years in HR profession, covering pharma science, chemical, auto component, and engineering sectors, in association with brands like Pfizer, Strides Pharma Science, Rani, and Amar Raja Batteries. His career trajectory for 13 years as business HR lead and about 11 years as site HR head gave him the opportunities to play constructive roles in various verticals, say compliance, talent engagement, organization redesigning, restructuring, digitization, ER and IR, including strategical integration twice in career and greenfield setup thrice in his career. Mr. Vijay is currently the group CHRO for the Chemfab group, which is into chemical, engineering and PVCO businesses. Prior to this was with Strides Pharma and Pfizer in the capacity of HR head for India operations. He holds a master's degree in human resource management and bachelor's in law. Mr. Vijay's accreditations are coach from ICF, designing, assessment and development center, competency mapping, MBTI and NLP. Mr. Vijay is pro bono coach, a passionate career architect on assessment and development. Mr. Vijay is also passionate about launching career expeditions with fast trackers. We thank Mr. Harihara Pandian for introducing Mr. Vijay Kumar to PDY HRC. I would like to add a point here. I am proud that I had an opportunity to introduce my boss here. And now, I would like to introduce Mr. Siddhartha Nandy, Factory Site Head, Hindustan Unilever Limited. Welcome, sir. Mr. Siddhartha is a mechanical engineer having more than 25 years of industry experience. He has worked in the various capacities of supply chain management of Hindustan Unilever Limited like manufacturing, engineering, quality, factory head, etc. He has worked as factory head in 3 factories located in various parts of India and Bangladesh. He is currently the factory head of Puducherry HPC factory of HUL, which is one of the large and strategic factory of the company, as his 4th stint as factory head. He is a stalwart in both technical, non-technical administration and people management areas of factory management. He has ably handled many LTS people management issues, capability development initiative in his various tenure of factory head. He is the strong advocate of HR profession as a catalyst, business partner in the organization, business development process, culture change and growth processes. We thank Mr. Vigneshwar for introducing Mr. Siddhartha Nandy to PDY HRC. Last but not the least, I am happy to introduce Mrs. G. Andal, General Manager Accounts and Operations at Roopakhavi Power Private Limited, Chennai. Welcome, ma'am. Mrs. Andal, a native of Puducherry, completed her graduation in English Literature from Tagore Arts College and thereafter completed her Masters in Business Administration. Her technical qualifications include SAP, Tally Prime and ERP 9. She presently handles the entire gamut of finance and accounts with operations. She has served in Aditya Group of Institutions and has handled a branch office of Tilak Nagar Industries. She is familiar with budgeting, forecasting for trading, commodities costing of trade for export and imports. She is conversant with e-commerce trading. At Tilak Nagar Industries, she had contributed to the zonal growth for the company brands. Her versatile experience includes fixing KRA for sales team and appraisal. She has handled materials control for production and for production forecast. We thank Ms. Aarti for introducing Mrs. Andal to Puducherry Human Resource Circle. We are eagerly waiting to hear from the panel members. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamil. And yes, let us now get started with the panel discussion on complementary role of HR in achieving business goals. Mr. Vigneshwar Hedge, Manager HR, Hindustan Unilever Limited, will be the moderator, and let's watch the show now. And please reserve your questions till the end of the session. Request Sureka to collate the questions from students and Ms. Lokeshwari from the HR side. Over to you, Vignesh. Thank you. I'll check that.
Now mic is audible, right? Yeah. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is our privilege to have this beautiful panel discussion session, thought-provoking panel discussion with the stalwarts. I can say both HR stalwarts and business stalwarts who are here with us today. Before going to that, I would request Ramakrishnan sir to come forward and sit here. So it would be great pleasure to have you in front. Before moving to discussion, I just wanted to give you a flavor of what is this discussion, what is the topic, relevancy of the topic in today's circumstances, right? So, if you look at the business or industry sector, is undergoing a tremendous change in a fast prospects. So because of socio-economic policies of the government, because of automation, technology innovations, because of digital interventions, because of industry 4.0, what we call a lot of robotic interventions or advanced technology interventions, and also customer priorities are changing, consumer needs are changing, correct? So at the same time, competition is there in the entire segment of businesses, and trade practices are changing day by day. Because of that, business is fast moving. It is basically changing. Business strategies, business goals are changing every year, every moment, every day. So basically, because of this fast moving change, what is happening is the strategies of winning in the race is changing, and at the same time priorities of the business and industries are changing in a fast pace. And because of this, all these reasons, investment is happening, disinvestment is happening, restructuring is happening, at the same time expansions are happening in the industry businesses, and at the same time automation, digital practices are coming up in the industries, hybrid working models are coming up. So with all these changes are happening in the industry, we should understand how HR function is also evolving over the period of time, correct? So now we all experienced, now HR profession has started with the personnel management concept, where we had key focus on administration, labor welfare, industrial relations, statutory compliances, right? After that, it has moved from the personnel management concept to human resource management concept, where it was made it a bit strategic functions like a recruitment, selection, training, development, performance management systems, employee engagement, correct? So after that, now the recent trend of a human resource service model is HR business partnering. Correct? We are all hearing the word HRBP, HR business partnering. So this entire session of today's panel discussion is about to throw more focus on what this HR business partnering role and how the business basically expects from HR function in current day-to-day function, and what business expects HR function to be having skills, knowledge on business, and basically what HR has to create a value creation for industry. This is all about today's entire panel discussion. So how the model of today's panel discussion is basically, I would request all the panel members to throw more light on your individual perspective on the today's topic. The topic is, with the permission of organizing committee, I'm just slightly change the topic of a complementary role to enabling role of HR function for the business growth. So on that topic, I would request all the panel members to throw your perspectives on the topic and what is the relevancy of this HR function alignment to business, and how basically business expects from HR department, HR function in the day-to-day in current day situation, and what value creation HR function can create. So if you can throw on your perspective, then we can move to a discussion mode. We can start with Vijay Kumar.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a very long question from Vignesh. Okay. Since he thrown a jargon called HR business partner, I would like to give you a little background of this HR business partnership. It's a 30-year-old concept. A management guru in HR field called Dwivedi coined this way back 1990. So why he coined this was before 1990, the L&D took a lot of dominance in the total HR space, I would say. Prior to that, it was personnel management, and IR, and then personal management, then L&D, everywhere L&D. State Bank of India started an L&D center. L&T started an L&D center. Tata's, every big corporation even in India in early 80s, they have gone so whole hog to start learning and development. So the traditional personnel and IR took a kind of a different image in the sense the previous generation image. And this was the worldwide scenario, not only in India, worldwide scenario. Then the so-called, the great researcher, the HR researcher, Dwivedi coined this. When he started, he canvassed, or I would say campaigned a lot to redefine the orientation of the HR business partner. So he changed the name as HR manager, from HR manager to HR business partner. He retained the administrative part and he called that as administrative expert, then strategic partner, then employee champion, and this was the 4 quadrants which he has coined. So this has been there for 15 years. Okay. Now, part of this administrative expertise role has been taken away by a lot of outsourcing companies. And the strategic partner is remained, it still continues, and it has been continuing. Employee champion has taken a lot of metamorphosis. So he himself got bored with the old model, and now he has, transformed his own model into 13, 14 different elements, and that's a big list. I don't want to give that list. Predominantly, he's talking about 3 things. 3 things that are very, very important and key to deliver for HR business partners. One is the context. Understand the context of business. And whatever you do, relate that to the context of business, number 1. Number 2, outcome. Be outcome focused. Whatever you do should result in outcome, and talk to the business leaders and understand what outcome they expect from the business and how you would like to partner to ensure that the outcome is in place. The third is, I would say, the leadership. He has been emphasizing a lot on leadership. When I say leadership, it includes a little amount of OB theory. OB, when I say it's organizational behavior, which is a part of a bit of psychology, a bit of understanding the perceptions, moods, emotions. Dr. Ramki spoke about emotional intelligence, on and on and on. The last piece, he combined the digitization and next generation management. So these are the three focus areas Dr. Dwivedi has been advocating currently to the business partners, the HR business partners. Then very recently I was also going through some of his statements that he says that let us scrap all these 13, 14 or 3 buckets. Let us speak one language. The language is HR business partner's role is to see to that the business is winning in the marketplace. Simple. As long as winning in the marketplaces, you would be aiming to be number 2 or number 3 or number 10, your target. And if you are winning that position in the market, you are there almost. So that extent, I think his advocacy is HR has to intertwine all the efforts of HR to an extent of ensuring that the business is winning in the marketplace. That's the current state of HR business partner role orientation, I would say. Let me also pinpoint a few things over here, because I could see a lot of students and a lot of, some amount of, more than professionals, I could see a lot of youngster students. HR business partner is not a new jargon, obviously. It's a renamed or recoloring of the HR manager role, HR officer role. This is practiced in different dimensions in different organizations. For example, in one of the organizations I have been working some time ago, very recently, these HR business partners are someone very different, and they're attached to individual blocks or individual, units, and who will take care of the employee relation, not taking care of, who will work with the business lead or the head of that unit. The business, the subhead, next level head of that unit, and ensure that what best we can offer from HR in strategy building and realizing the strategy, and in building the capability, in peacekeeping, as well as in performance management. That's what it is. And also employee relations, we cannot forget that. That being the role of HR business partner, there has been specialized roles like recruitment wing, L&D wing, and now you have payroll and compensation benefits wing, on and on and on. These HRBPs will move around and do their job. They have the job like strategy, working with the business, the so-called unit head in implementing the strategy and mediating between the leader and the employees, acting like a champion, and peacekeeping, as well as enabling individuals to perform better or groups to perform better. This is the localized job. Apart from that, they keep hearing a lot of corridor talks, a lot of grievances. They carry all that to the specialist roles sitting in HR function. If there are payroll grievances, there could be insurance claim grievances, there could be accident care grievances, and there could be promotion grievances. There could be many things which the BP cannot resolve then and there itself, but acts as an ambassador who picks and places before the chief of the HR in the setup or the specialists who are sitting in the office. This is one model. The other model could be if you have the marketing wing sitting somewhere, if you have the IT wing sitting somewhere. I think the head of HR in that marketing wing and that IT wing itself is called HR business partner. So they will take care of, they will handle everything over there. So there is no one single definition, but it's good to understand the model, HRBPs. Youngsters can simply Google and understand that. Let me tell you, if not today, if not in Puducherry, at one point in time, you all know, I think you will be prone to make careers and you are highly mobile. You belong to a generation that doesn't hesitate to move anywhere in the world. And at one point in time or the other, will be pulled into a platform to play all these roles. So suggestion is to be aware of what's happening in the domain, HR domain, and what metamorphosis is in place. So then only you can be a little ahead of times. Otherwise, we will be left to receive the instructions from someone and scale up. That could be too late, a little late. I don't want to say too late, that could be a little late. So urge is, for some of us, that if the HRBP could appear to be a very strange or very unusual term, it's not so. It's simple metamorphosis or a little transformed version of HR manager. It's simple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, thanks, Mr. Vijay Kumar. You summed up very well, basically, the fundamentals of this function, business HRBP function. I request Shekhar Dwivedi sir to share your initial thoughts on this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to talk to the industry as well as the students who are going to take care of the industry. We operations people, normally we feel that actually we take care of the industry, not knowing that really these are the people who take care of the industry. So people live with wrong notions many a times. I am no exceptions. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I come from operations, so sir, it was good learning for me what you said, but many things we keep practicing without knowing, so we keep experimenting, but nevertheless based on few experiences. What's your name? Vignesh. You said topic was complementary and you added the word enablement, and you know, you operations people are never ready, so they always at the last moment some presentation, something will be there. From an operation perspective, whether it is factory business, factory management, business management, service industry, whether you use a complementary role or enablement role, it gives an impression of you still want to be on the second line. You don't want to say, I want to sit on the first bench. You know, and it's good in a seminar, in a discussion to talk about how the HR function will take a complementary role in business objectives. Organizations struggle through defining business objectives. They struggle through, if they define business objectives, making the operation team itself fully aware about it. Organizations have a challenge in that role. They find difficult to connect that objective to everybody so that people identify themselves as an individual, what is my role in it. So my first take is, already you went a step ahead. You said from complementary to enablement. Why don't we say from complementary to enablement to ownership role? Howsoever small, I mean, we still, a plumber has a very respectable job today as long as it's dependable plumber. So howsoever small the role in the sense of width, but if someone has got the ownership of taking that role, so I would say, if from my perspective, even if we can imagine the role of HR from the complementary to enablement to the ownership towards anything which organization wants to do. In a short term, in a very short time, let me try to give what my take is and what I have been struggling all these years. I would say all these years, but I've largely, out of around 43 plus years, I have 90% of the time I have worked in one company, so I can be excused for developing a stereotype thinking. But what I feel is that, look, we senior management, when we don't get any vent, we only go to HR people and then we start releasing. So HR people also know, because we also cannot go and tell everyone our frustration. So who will listen to our frustration? Okay, so HR people really know what's happening. But what's happening is, looks like, one example sometimes I give to my operations team, and I give it to, really I tell you, and I'm telling it here, that what happens, we senior people get frustrated when we feel that people are not delivering to the best of their capabilities, be it anything. And I believe that in a business environment, whatever you do is a business goal. Otherwise, why should you take it up? It's not that the sales and marketing is a business goal. My training and development is a business goal. My 5S is a business goal. Otherwise, why should I take it? And if the management doesn't give a clarity on this, if they themselves are wavering on what is a business role and what is not a business role, then why the people themselves should align with this? All these students sitting here on the back side, they also want to take a lead role in their life, right? They don't want to be only on the enabling role and the complementary role. They also want somebody who should come forward to enable them. Therefore, what happens is, we feel that the people are not delivering their best, and that is where we go back to HR. Come on, yaar. It's not the same. And then we expect HR to do some miracle. Okay? So, I was also thinking, sitting here, what I could say when you asked me. So, no, we people are eager to tell what we think of. I take one example from myself, and I give it to everybody. You look at the cricket match, T20 and 50 overs match. The rule of the game, when the inning starts, on the first ball, first over, the rule of the game is exactly same as the last over of last ball. Do we agree? Do we agree? Entire body language of the player is extremely different. The body language of the player on the first ball of the first over and the last ball of the last over is different. And many a times we look for that miracle, that why my employees, my colleagues, my friends are not behaving the way the player behaves on the last ball of the last over. This looks very fascinating. When I speak, I also enjoy listening myself. I think I am speaking very well. But life is beyond speaking and listening. I think the employee HR role comes in, who will be the custodian, who will be the leader, who will have the ownership of if this feeling is required in the organization. I am giving Vignesh just one example, which I think in operations many a time we need that kind of example. When we need that kind of a spirit in the organization to do the best, to do something seemingly impossible, to do something aggressive yet realistic, which seemingly may not happen, and we are looking for the team which should really have the body language, the intent, the commitment, par excellence. Looks good to say, but who is the custodian to create this culture and feeling in the organization? Somebody has to be captain of the ship. Otherwise, it's only a conference room talk. You speak in a conference room, being senior anyway, nobody questions you. You are not speaking in front of a customer. You are not in a conference room like open seminar like this that youngsters don't like. They may even say, come on, stop it. You speak to your own colleague who are at your disposal. They will keep nodding, but come out of the room, or two persons go to washroom together, and then what transpires within 30 seconds is most important feeling. So my feeling, Vignesh, as I see, HR is moving from the mundane activity. You speak to your own colleague who are at your disposal. They will keep nodding, but come out of the room, or two persons go to washroom together, and then what transpires within 30 seconds is most important. It is the HOD's role. It is supervisor. So my feeling, Vignesh, so HR role is to create more HR. HR is moving from the mundane activity. Every business manager has to be HR manager, has to be quality manager, has to be colleague, finance manager who as well at your disposal, creating this culture in the organization. But come out of the team understand that two persons go to there's a difference in together where you play on and the first over and last within 30 seconds is most important. It is the HOD's role. Taking this captainship role, supervisor. My feeling, HR role is to create more HR. HR is moving from the mundane activity. Every business manager has to be HR manager, has to be quality manager.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar, sir. So emphasizing HR creation role as the captain of the ship in current day-to-day things where basically HR played a very strategic partnership role as a business leader. Thank you for your initiative. I would request
in
you.
this captainship role, my feeling with HR role is to create more HR is moving from being mundane at every business manager has to be HR manager.
Thank you,
has
Mr.
to be quality
Thank
manager.
you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, sir. So, to emphasizing HR function role as a captain of the ship in currently today's things, where basically HR is played a very strategic partnership role as a business leader. Thank you for your initiative. I would request you.
A decade before we merged, right? So we became one Unilever, right? And today, a lot of last 3-4 days, you would have seen that Unilever has also transitioned.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. So, to emphasizing HR role as a captain of
category organization. And also there is bit amount of that anxiety that gets created, and you would have read around 1,500 jobs to be cut around 100 countries and all that, right? While you know the media will be having some kind of publications, but this is a big transformation, and this transformation then has to be managed, and that's how we have Nitin in our, the ULE member being designated as the Chief Transformation Officer, right? So this transition is very important to be managed across when such a huge amount of a 53 billion euros company is going to transition from a geographic functional organization to a category, and within the category also you will have functional leaders, right? So I think you have to handle transformation very, very smartly without losing valuable talent within this transition, right? And that is a very key role for HR to be there. If I look from a factory perspective, we are transitioning, we are changing, right? The way that we are operating our plants, which used to be 20 years back, it's not the way we can operate right now. Technologies are going to be put in the lines, right? Because we want a very, very high amount of efficiency in the lines. If we don't have our workforce absolutely getting re-skilled to that, we are going to land up in a huge problem. So HR, will then get back to your old industrial relationship management rather than looking forward. I think we need to be very, very sure that we are able to manage transition. So I think transformation would be one of the key elements for HR. Look forward the changes which is happening all around, and actually, bring it inside and lead these changes, right, along with the operations, in a factory environment, and similarly in a business environment with other functions, whether it's marketing, sales, and even R&D. That's my take on this.
Thank you, Mr. Siddhartha, for emphasizing HR function role as a transformational lead role. So thank you for that. I would request Ms.Andal to share your initial take.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. Sir, shall we talk in Tamil? Is this convenient for you?
Yeah. You please go, please.
Actually, நம்ம own languageல நிறைய விஷயங்களை நம்ம கொண்டு வரும்போது அது நமக்கு ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆகும். It's my opinion. Actually, நான் literature that's why I'm asking the permission from you.
Please.
HR related எனக்கு என்ன subjects, I'm not well versed in HR related categories. But operation oriented ஒரு கன்சர்ன் ஓரியன்டாகவும் அதுக்கு டாப் லெவல் கொண்டு வரதுக்கு என்னென்ன ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸில் இருக்கோ ஐ எம் வெரி வெல் ஃபெமிலியர் வித் தட். அப்படி பார்க்கும்போது ஹெச்ஆர் ரோல்ன்ற கான்செப்டுக்கு நான் போகாமல் ஒரு கன்சர்னோட க்ரோத்துக்கு எதெல்லாம் பேஸாக நமக்கு கொண்டு வரதுன்றது மட்டும் நான் உங்கள்கிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஆக்சுவலி நான் பாண்டிச்சேரி ஓரியன்ட். லாஸ்ட் 1 year பேக் ஒன்லி ஐ காட் த ஜாப் அட் சென்னை. இங்கே பாண்டிச்சேரியில் அரௌண்ட் 15 years ஐ காட் மை ப்ரொமோஷன். ஆனால் அந்த 15 yearsல பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் கொடுத்த எஃபர்ட்க்கும் என்னோட ஒர்க் சஃபிஷியன்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் பெருசாக எதுவுமே கோவம் பண்ணல மாதிரி தான் எனக்கு ஃபீல் ஆச்சு. ஏன்னா பாண்டிச்சேரி அந்தளவுக்கு ஒரு சோர்ஸ் இருக்கிற மாதிரி தெரியாது, எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும். That's why I choose to work at Chennai, not only for Chennai. எனக்கு எங்கே என்னோட ரோல் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் ஆகுன்னு தோணுச்சோ அதனால் நான் அந்த இடத்துல சூஸ் பண்ணி போனேன். இங்கே நான் பாண்டிச்சேரியில் இருந்த வரைக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா என்னோடய ரோல் நான் ஒரு ஜஸ்ட் ஒரு 25,000 to 30,000 அந்த ரேஞ்சில் தான் நாங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருந்தேன். ஐம் ஃப்ராங்க்லி டு சே. ஆனால் என்னோடய ரோல் நான் சென்னைக்கு நான் எடுத்துகிட்டு போயிட்டு ஜஸ்ட்டு எனக்கு ஒரு 2 or 3 months தான் தேவைப்பட்டது என்னோடய ரோல் அங்கே நான் காமிக்கிறதுக்கு. நான் உள்ளே போகும் ஜஸ்ட் அக்கௌண்டண்ட்டாக தான் போனேன். ஆஃப்டர் த 3rd month என்னோடய ஒர்க் கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் நாங்கள் கொடுத்து கம்பெனிக்கான க்ரோத் நான் கொடுத்ததும் தே ஆர் அட்மையர்ட். ஆக்சுவலி என்னென்ன எக்ஸாஜுவேட் பண்ணிக்கணுன்றதுக்காக நான் நிச்சயமாக சொல்ல, எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சது நாங்கள் கொடுத்தேன் அப்படின்னும் போது அவங்க என்னை ரொம்ப அப்ரிஷியேட் பண்ணாங்க. இமிடியேட்லி அவங்க என்ன கம்பெனியோட டைரக்டாக ஜாயின் பண்ணாங்க, அது வில்லிங் கொடுத்தாங்க. பட் ஐ எம் நாட் வில்லிங் டு டேக் தட். நான் எனக்கு அவங்கள்ட்ட டைம் கேட்டுக்கிட்டேன். அப் டு இந்த மார்ச் வரைக்கும் என்னோடய கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் பாருங்கள், அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்கள் இன்னும் ஃபுல் மெர்ஜாக நீங்கள் ஃபீல் பண்ணிங்க அப்படின்னா தென் ஐ வில் டேக் இட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருந்தேன். அதனால இப்போ ஜிஎம் அந்த கம்பெனியில் இருந்துகிட்ருக்கேன். நான் ஆக்சுவலி போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி இந்த கன்சர்னில் இருந்தது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப ஒரு லாஸ்ட் 3 இயர்ஸாகவே ரொம்ப எப்படி சொல்கிறதுன்னா அந்த கரெக்டாக ஷேப் இல்லாமலே இருந்தது. ஏன்னா என்னோடய எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வச்சு தான் நான் உங்ககிட்ட பேச முடியும். காமனாக இருக்கிறத வச்சு பேச என் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வச்சு உங்ககிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ண முடியும். இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஜஸ்ட் ஒரு 6 to 7 சீல் இந்த கம்பெனி நான் வந்துட்டு ஒரு 250 crore லெவலுக்கு நான் இப்போ கொண்டு வந்துட்டு, இது இனிஷியல் ஸ்டேஜ். லாஸ்ட் எனக்கு தேங்க்யூ சார். இப்போ இந்த டிசம்பர் வரைக்கும் நான் கொடுத்து 250 crore நான் கொடுத்துருந்தேன். ஆக்சுவலி என் கன்சர்னோட இது பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா மேஜராக சோலார் இபிசி ஒர்க் எடுத்து செஞ்சிட்ருக்கோம். அது தென் இ-காமர்ஸ், தென் எக்ஸ்போர்ட் இம்போர்ட். அதில் எக்ஸ்போர்ட் இம்போர்ட் லெவலில் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் நான் அப்ளை பண்ணதிலும் ஐ காட் த ரெகக்னைசேஷன் ஃப்ரம் மை ஃபார்ம். இதில் எதுக்கு அவங்ககிட்ட நான் ஷேர் பண்ணுறேன் அப்படின்னா, இவ்வளவும் நான் கொண்டு வந்திருக்க மேஜர் நாங்கள் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் பண்ணது மேஜர் ரீசனாக இருந்தது எதுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, ஹெச்ஆர்ன்ற ஒன்று என் கன்சர்னில் முன்னாடி வச்சுருக்காம, அதாவது சோலோவாக அவங்களாவே டிசைட் பண்ணி செஞ்சுட்டு இருந்தாங்க. நான் போயிட்டு ஒரு 2 or 3 months மேஜராக அங்கே எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் பண்ண ஒரே விஷயம் ஹெச்ஆர்ஓன்றது இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் என்ன, அவங்க மட்டும்தான் கரெக்டான ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் கொண்டு வந்து அங்கங்கே எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ண முடியும். தேங்க்யூ சார். ஸோ நமக்கு சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் தெரியுன்றதுக்காக வந்துட்டு எனக்கு நிறைய கம்யூனிகேஷன்ஸ் இருக்குது, எல்லாமே செய்யும் முடியத்தை விட்டு நீங்கள் ஹெச்ஆர்ன்ற ஒரு சேனல் வயசாக போகும்போது ப்ராப்பரான ஆப்டான விஷயத்தை அங்கங்கே அவங்க செட் பண்ணுவாங்க. நாம் கோல் அச்சீவ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு அது பெரிய ஒரு சோர்ஸாக இருக்குன்ட்டு நான் கொடுத்த ஒரு சஜஷன் தான். அதை அவங்க அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ணாங்க. அதான் இந்த டிசம்பர் வரைக்கும் பார்த்தோன்னா 250 crore கொடுத்துருக்கேன். இப்போ இந்த மார்ச் வரைக்கும் நான் பிளான் பண்ணி 1500 crore நான் பிளான் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். தேங்க்யூ சார். இல்லை, இது என் ஸ்டோரி சொல்கிறன்றதுக்காகலாம் இல்லை. எனக்கு இந்த ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி எனக்கு கொடுக்கும்போது நான் என்ன உங்ககிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ண போகிறேன்னு தெரியல. ஆக்சுவலி கண்ணன் சார்கிட்ட நான் பேசும்போது உங்கள் ப்ராக்டிக்கல் நாலேஜ் நீங்கள் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணாலே அது ஒரு ஹெச்ஆர் ரிலேட்டட் தானம்மா அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. அதனால தான் உங்கள் முன்னாடி இதை வந்து ஷேர் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கேன். ஸோ ஹெச்ஆரில் சும்மா ஆளை ரெக்ரூட் பண்ணுறது, ட்ரெயின் பண்ணுறது அந்த கான்செப்டோடு மட்டுமே கிடையாது. அந்த பேக் போன் ஆஃப் ஒரு கன்சர்னுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய சப்போர்ட் லெவலுக்கு தான் ஹெச்ஆர் பீப்புள் மட்டும்தான். அந்த ஒரே ஒரு கேட்டகரி என் கம்பெனியில் அப்ளை பண்ண நல்ல க்ரோத் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். இப்போ நாங்கள் சோலார் வந்துட்டு அதானி, வில்மார், கமேசாவோட நாங்கள் கிரேட் வெண்டாஸ். அவங்க எங்களுக்கு இப்போ கம்மிங் மார்ச் மந்த்லி எங்களுக்கு கான்ட்ராக்ட் கொடுத்துருக்குறாங்க. 8000 crore கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. அதை இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு இப்போ ஒரு 1 week முன்னாடி எனக்கு என் கம்பெனிலேருந்து கொடுத்த பெரிய ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி. பெரிய லெவலில் ஹெச்ஆர் டீம் கொண்டு வந்துட்டு ஒரு ஹை ப்ரொஃபஷனல்ஸ் கொண்டு வந்து அவங்க மூலமாக எல்லா மேன் பவர் கொண்டு வரணும்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ நான் மேஜர் இங்கே வந்ததுக்கு இன்னொரு என்னோடய சோர்ஸ் ரீசன் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா, இங்கே சார்கிட்டையும் பேசியிருக்கேன். ஹெச்ஆர் லெவலில் எனிபடி ஹேவ் த வெல் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் மோர் தென் 10 years அப்படின்னா ப்ளீஸ் என் கூட வந்து ஜாயின் பண்ணுங்கள். கம்பெனியோட எனக்காக ஒர்க் பண்ணி கொடுங்க. உங்களோட எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் நான் எதிர்பார்க்குறேன்.
Thank you, Ms.Andal, for sharing that HR has transformed your organization from a very scalable manner. Thank you for sharing that and appreciating. Now, going forward, I would like to take a discussion.
I would like to just emphasize what Mr. Dwivedi said. Friends, I would like to emphasize what Mr. Dwivedi said. புரிஞ்சிருக்கோன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அவர் என்ன சொல்றாருன்னா, don't stay outside the boardroom, come inside the boardroom. HR is giving a call.
Sorry?
Come inside the boardroom and partner the board in decision and implementation. See, actually, that's true. He is giving a call to action. I would say it's such a senior person, because some leader belongs to that generation will not invite people into the boardroom. Be partner in decision. That's what you emphasize, right? You have been emphasizing that take decision, take lead in all the new initiatives. Correct?
Not that only. What I'm saying that don't be in a secondary role. Desire to be in a primary role. Take the ownership.
We all should give a big hand to Mr. Dwivedi, I would say. This emphasis is for the new generation. The last, don't stay outside the boardroom, try to be inside the boardroom. அது சும்மா வராது, அதுக்கு நிறைய படிக்கணும். You have to read a lot and you have to understand a lot about business. We all know about business, but we don't dare sharing that in the meetings. We know the gaps of our own business and we know what's happening with competitors, we know what's happening at global level, but we have greater hesitation to speak up because we come with a tag that I am a HR guy. If I speak, will it be accepted or no? But here is a veteran who gives a great call to HR guys to be in. Okay, thank you, sir.
Before you ask me any question. One of my mentors was HR manager. Two people if I worship, one is the HR guru. I call him my guru. He's still there in Delhi, a Punjabi fellow. One anecdote joke he said to me because I moved 24 years back to Puducherry from Delhi, and south, north going to south, a lot of apprehensions at that time. But one thing he said, it's a joke, let me say it, but relevant. He said that one company advertised for a HR manager, and under the qualifications, eligibility, they also said that he should have one hand, so not two hands. So a lot of people applied, and finally one boy got selected. And when he was selected, finally before offering, the company asked him that, do you have anything to say? And that man said, look, I'm so happy that this company is so great a company. Now they have decided that only physically challenged people will take. We'll take the person who has only one hand. Who will give a job to such a person? I'm so impressed, sir, so thankful to you. I'm a lucky man, I'm a fortunate man. I bow my head. And that HR senior person said, hey, come on, stop nonsense. Nothing like that. Don't be in a fool's world. We are taking you just because the previous man was here. Whenever we bring a problem, we will say on one hand, these are the advantages, on the other hand, these are the disadvantages. And he used to tell me to take a decision. I want the man to have single hand take a decision and tell me what needs to be done. It's a joke, but I got reminded when I'm saying that move from secondary role to primary role means you have to take a decision. Anybody, you take a decision, your boss takes a decision, the factory heads takes a decision, the CEO takes a decision. Sometimes it is bound to be wrong. But how long you will only be in an advisory role? Why not be in the primary role? You also have the same desire. When you go home, your wife asks, what do you do? And when you see your salesperson only beaming face, don't you think it should be yours also? Was it a mistake that you did MBA HR? No. You handle the most difficult machines. So difficult it is to handle the manpower. I do not know next 10 minutes how would I behave. Sometimes I have behaved in my personal life or professional life in a manner which I am so ashamed to think that why did I behave in that manner? And you handle so many machines of this complex nature, why should you be in a secondary role? That's my take.
Thank you, sir. So, picking from this discussion, I would like to lead the discussion to Mr. Vijay Kumar. So, as a HR professional, in all the levels, be it from officer level to manager level or leadership role of HR, what skills basically you expect or you advise as a practical guide to all the audience or all the budding HR professionals that what skills or acumen or functional knowledge we should acquire more to help the business or to go into a primary role or become a strategic partner to the business?
What skills you, right? Okay. Before getting into skills, I would like to emphasize about the knowledge. So when I say HR, let me split into junior level, mid-level and senior level. Obviously, senior level, they gain a lot of hands-on skills and knowledge by virtue of long experience. I'm not attempting to speak about anything at that level. What junior and mid-level, what knowledge you should have is you should develop the habit of the HR professional should develop the habit of being the business savvy, business acumen, should develop business acumen. I just emphasized in the previous short talk. When I say business acumen, it's not a new jargon, it's not a very strange term, it's very usual, the knowledge about business, right? If we wish to start a small tea stall for our own, somewhere in a street or in a busy bazaar, what will we do? We will be doing a lot of groundwork, right? We will understand the customer base, we will understand the competitors' strengths, and we will also understand what kind of community is living around, and we will understand we will try to learn what new things, including the aesthetics, etc., the flavor we should be bringing in, on and on and on. So the same amount of interest will have to be invested when we are working for some organization. Acumen. When I say acumen, you should understand the business. Unless you understand the product and process, we are not going to be taken as a serious constituents in the business. Product process, the market, and the strengths and difficulties of the various hands-on as well as supervisory people, and the trends that are happening about the technology globally, and what advancement can give some more life to your business and your industry or your factory, and what will happen if we continue with the same trend, same technology, on and on. I would say that nothing less than, you should learn kind of stuff, nothing less than a business leader. But okay, we will have limitations. We won't be able to understand the pure chemistry or pure mechanical dynamics or pure airspace science. But to an extent possible, we should learn. The avenues are quite open now. The click of the button, you will understand everything. All that you need to know is you need to find out a coach or a mentor who can give you an assimilated knowledge. The abundant knowledge is available on web or from the network. But you have to condense and grasp the right perspective of what you swim across. That's the crux. Business acumen, I would say. Number two, why anybody should respect HR professional, right? For payroll, no, they will not respect, because you have an outsourced agency who can come and do the payroll. For learning and development, you have people who can come and deliver. And to run safety, you have somebody. For IR, you have an advocate, obviously. But only one thing cannot be replaced by any customer. The role of the behavioral scientist, I would emphasize this again and again. Try to develop the quality of a behavioral scientist. Read few more books. Try to catch hold of your seniors or mentors and coaches from the network. I think your PDY circle itself can give you huge amount of names. Talk to them. Talk to them and learn the behavioral science, let me tell you. See, this is not, it's not a very strange science or something new I'm throwing. If you go to the villages and if you observe the conversation under the tree in Panchayat, they are you will find them highly emotionally intelligent. The people at 60s and 70s, they will be taking a lot of pause before responding to question, and they will make balanced statement, and at the end of the day, everybody will walk away with a consented outcome. So that's the behavioral science. You will learn a lot in the behavioral science. And observe the business discussions. Request your procurement people and sit in a corner and watch how they negotiate. Right? There you will learn a lot of behavioral science elements. And moreover, read a lot. Read a lot. And we should develop the habit of analyzing the case studies. Why Tata Motors Tata Motors Pune had first and last time the unionization in 1990, 89 or 90, if I am correct. After that, there is no union in Tata Motors Pune. That was the first and last time. How it evolved and how it got disappeared. So these are the case studies. And let me share my experience. Of the 5 companies I worked in, 3 companies, the union eruption happened all of a sudden. Nobody had any clue. Nobody had any clue. The best of the intelligent security officers didn't have any clue. And the so-called informers, which HR would have planted and would have been intelligently thinking that they can act like your radars, they had no clue. In 3 occasions, the unionization just like that happened on one fine morning. Why is that? Because we HR fail to sense the behavioral indifferences among the people because we don't know the science. I don't want to make a generic statement. Most of us don't take this science as a very serious necessity for our own survival. So let's focus on that. Let's shift the gear on understanding the behavioral patterns of the human beings as an individual, as a group, on and on and on. It needs a lot of patience, and the organization will not give you anything. If you go and ask your president or CEO, he will say that is something very different that we need to learn. I often hear from many youngsters over interview, when I ask the question about what do you know about talent management system, the answer is no, we don't have that practice in our company, sir. When you ask about employee experience, no, we don't have that. So the simple answer, it's not a smart answer, I would say. It's an easy answer to escape. HR is something, learning something which you don't have in your workplace, that's what HR. If you learn something which is already in the workplace, that's not HR. That anybody will learn more than as your security and your other support staff will learn a lot of things. What is available already in the premises because they keep moving more than us to every corner. Learning something which is not there in is what? Learning HR. So therefore, for this generation particularly, who are digital savvy, try to have a mentor or coach. They'll support you a lot. And think 10, 20 years ahead of the current times. And I would say that for past 29 years, I could see a lot of demands. The demands which I had on my head some 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it's been drastically changing. Okay. I also had to metamorphosize myself into a different element. I was not the same 10 years ago, 20 years ago. When I started career, it was very different. Read a lot. Develop yourself as a behavioral scientist to an extent possible. I don't want to say scientists don't take that as a very big, tough task. No, it's not tough task. With abundance of knowledge and information available on net, you can be definitely scientist and draw your own inferences and have conviction to speak up when the time comes. I would say that, be intellectual honesty. I learned it from my colleague very recently. If you have a conviction, if you believe that making a statement will help the organization, don't hesitate, make that statement in the good of the organization. Business acumen and the nature of transforming yourself, a behavioral scientist alone can give you a seat in the organization going forward. Otherwise, all other functions of HR, if not fully, partially taken away by some expert, somebody else. And thanks to this pandemic and the gig economy, the gig jobs are going to be predominantly flooding into the market. You will be seeing a lot of gig roles, a 4-hour role, 2-hour role, 3-hour role, or 2 days in a all this variety of roles are going to creep inside the organization. And the time la நாம feel பண்ணக்கூடாது. Oh God, என்னது இது நம்ம ரோல்லாம் எல்லாம் எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்களே அப்படின்னு. So be very smart. Take the early call. Thank you.
Thanks for nice inputs, Mr. Vijay Kumar. It's a really very knowledgeable inputs for all the budding HR professionals, how to succeed in this profession, how to have more business acumen, how to have a success in terms of how to help, how to support the business. Correct. So to Siddhartha, basically you talk about transformation. It's a rule of every organization. Correct. It's in a frequent, in a frequency or in a regular sequence. It happens for every organization. Right. As a business leader, basically what you expect from the HR function, they should deliver the organization transformational change towards the success of the growth, success of the business.
So I'll tell you a very factory perspective, because one large number of roles that I have done is a factory, and if you see another thing is the organization, right? So when an organization does, it has a strategy. So every company will have a strategy for itself, and with that strategy, it will say how am I going to differentiate from others in this same business which is there, right? Where HR then comes is to absolutely co-partner with the business heads and define the structure of the organization. Then you put people into this organization. Then you actually define processes, because most of the organizations will no more be a functional kind. As the business grows, they will be into a matrix form. So you require the the processes to be developed, the reward systems to be developed so that people actually have a collaborative ways of working, because functional has a different advantage and matrix has a different advantage, right? So, and then you will see that, all these processes, rewards, structure, people has to be put by HR. In co-partnering, I'm not saying in isolation, right? So there's a very strong way that, you are going to partner in this transformation. Today, what I'm seeing in Unilever, with the CEO, the cascade is happening with the transformation leader. When Alan Zob does it, he does it with Nitin, right? When Sanjeev Mehta does it, he does it with Mike, right? Why not with someone others? And that's the message which is there, right? So, you will be in the forefront of transformation along with business heads. That is very critical. The second thing which I feel in a factory, right, what is happening is within the supply chain organization also, we are asking for more efficiencies. We are asking for more savings, right? And that cannot be delivered with, the old ways. If you keep having those same technologies, most of them has been around, say, 20-25 years back. We need automations. We are talking of robotics, right? We are talking of Industry 4, right? Most of this is Industry 4, most of this new generation or the older generation will talk you about. But what you need to do in Industry 4 and how much amount of your workforce has to be reskilled and some amount of upskilling, that's a big change where, HR has to get. Otherwise, what will happen, as I was telling you earlier, a lot of people will be redundant. They can talk, but they will not be able to actually work on those technologies. And right, so we need to actually see that in the next 5 years, how am I going to transform the workforce in the factory to be technology savvy, to really add value, and how am I going to bring more efficiencies, right? Otherwise, what is happening, right? If you see oil inflations are very high. In Unilever, we are facing a huge amount of inflation, right? So our gross margins are under tremendous pressures. And supply chain is a huge cost to this. Because we have an element of procurement which has to do its own part by negotiating better. But as a supply chain we need to be more efficient to get more value out of the money that we spend in our factories. And there we need to really, sweat our assets, not only machineries, even people also. I think there you have to lead transformation. And there you can add value to the organization, right? And this all transition has to be managed without getting into an industrial relation issues in the plant. I think that's my lookout on this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Siddharth. So, my next question to Mr. Chandrasekhar, sir. Basically, you said HR role comes into picture. Out of your experience, you said when your best of your talents are not delivering up to the expected capacity, right? Sorry? Best of your talents are people are not delivering up to the level of their capacities. So, when the basically business leaders will think that some HR intervention has to be made, how best we can outcome, correct? As based on your expertise, what practical guide you can suggest for HR function to deliver this to happen?
Even at the cost of repeating, first thing would be they have to believe that they are the key function in the organization. They are not the supporting function. And I really mean it. I think, maybe my experience, even the best organizations find difficult to create a culture of performance and accountability at all levels. We may have business plans, goals, processes, structures, but creating a performance and accountability culture in the organization, generally it's missing, Even the best experts realize that something is missing in this area. That is one part. The second part is, as the organizations graduate, they grow from one level to the other level, and so its people, the role of the individuals are changing in the organizations. I think HR can take the toughest role is how do they create the entire culture, top to bottom, two extremes, the performance and accountability. People believe that I'm accountable to what I'm doing. Okay, that's one thing. People are busy in identifying the role, not the responsibility and authority. For example, see, many of us, when we became father, being a father of a kid, being a father of a teenager, being a father of a young man, being a father of a married son, the role of a father has been changing. And the same thing is true even in the organizations, the factory heads, the senior people, a new organization, a 5-year-old organization, a 10-year-old organization. So people understanding their individual role, collective role, performance and accountability looks very good to say, but it doesn't happen. Like people say, the quality gurus have said, I have yet to meet a person in my life who comes to the organization who says, I am not for quality. But yet, quality rarely happens. So who says I am not for the people? Who says I am not for the restaurant? But it rarely happens. I would say HR has to take that role, and whilst doing all this, they should not be in the front, they should be in the back. There are certain organizations, their presence is felt. In my view, HR's absence should be felt more than the presence. Marketing's presence should be felt. Once I saw in Delhi Times of India, they gave a supplementary that 1947, whatever that newspaper was, 15th of August, they gave and it is still there on Google, you can search it. So Colgate toothpaste advertisement was there on 15th August 1947. All of us know Colgate. Why do they keep advertising? Because that's a marketing technique. Their presence has to be felt. If you leave, Hindustan Unilever, they know much more. If you are suddenly out of the mind of the people, your 0.5% volume may go down. But HR should be in the back. Their absence should be felt. One of our operations head created a culture, I can tell you, Vignesh, my feeling is, and he created an idea. He said the people don't leave the organizations only, they leave the managers too. So when the talented people, and who leaves the organization? Who has the worth outside? So if you don't manage well, finally you are stuck with the dead woods. And the good people don't leave the organization, they leave their managers too. So HR created a big role in making the managers understand that what their total role is. So I don't know, I'm giving some discrete inputs, but I think they need to be in the back, their absence should be felt. The culture of total performance and accountability, the people understanding their role as they are moving up. You know what's happening, because people want their salary to go up. Why should not? If the companies want their revenue to go up, income to go up, why not the people should think of my salary should go up? And if they do not appreciate in their performance in the organization, if my salary I am desiring to the 10%, it should go up. And if my contribution is not perceived to be going up by 10%, why management will give me the salary? Having this contradiction is HR's job. This is how I would say.
Thank you, sir. It's a very insightful thought which you expressed on this thing. So basically, now what I wanted to do is I wanted to take some of the questions from the audience because I am feeling some paucity of time also on this discussion. I would like to take some of the questions from the audience which Lokeshwari and the other volunteers can help me out collecting students. If anybody has any questions to the both business leaders and HR leaders towards HR function, towards business, what business is expecting from HR function. If anybody has any questions, please throw. While asking question, you please spell the name to whom you want to.
So first, this is a question to the panel. Actually, during your initiation of the discussion, I think you have got highlights from the HR should start from L&D, that is learning and development, and towards business partnering, ownership, transformation, and HR should be holistic and all this thing. So among these fields, which must be present in a HR manager, which is complementing.
What is the question?
So almost all the discussants, as well as the moderator, they have tried to highlight some points actually, but they have highlighted what all the field a HR manager have to have during his course of function. So first thing, starting with L&D, that is learning and development, business partnering, ownership field, and transformation. So among this, all this field, within an HR manager, which is complementing to the growth of the organization. Which one? Which field is highly complementing to the growth of the organization?
Which is the field basically highly complementing or enabling the business.
And moreover, Sir has told about behavioral science also, right? Which field must be present in a HR manager at the maximum to complement the growth of the organization?
இப்போ வந்து can I mix Tamil and English?
Yes.
ஒரு ஃபீல்டுன்னு கிடையாதுங்க, எல்லா ஃபீல்டுமே எக்ஸ்பர்டீஸ்
Sir,
இருக்கு.
not field, sir. Field. Ownership field.
ஃபீலா?
Field.
வாட் இஸ்
சார் ஆக்சுவலாக
என்ன ஃபீல் வரணுங்களா?
ஹெச்ஆருடைய ஃபங்க்ஷன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்பொழுது முதல்ல லேர்னிங் அண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட், கற்றுக்கணும், கற்றுக் கொடுக்கணும், டெவலப் பண்ணணும். அப்புறம் பிஸ்னஸ் பார்ட்னரிங், ஐ எம் அ பார்ட்னர் இன் த பிஸ்னஸ், ஐ எம் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிள் ஃபார் த ப்ராஃபிட் ஆர் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் ஆஃப் த பிஸ்னஸ். அண்ட் ஓனர்ஷிப், ஐ எம் த ஓனர், ஐ எம் ஃபார் எவ்ரி திங். அண்ட் தென் டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர்மேஷன், ஐ ஷுட் சேஞ்ச் த இண்டிவிஜுவல் வித் இன் மீ. இந்த எல்லா ஃபீல்டுமே ஹெச்ஆர் மேனேஜர்கிட்ட இருக்கணும்னு நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீங்க இல்லையா?
எல்லா ஃபீல், ஆமாம்.
இந்த ஃபீல் எல்லாமே இருக்கணும். இந்த ஃபீல்டில் எந்த ஃபீல் வந்து அந்த கம்பெனியோட க்ரோத்துக்கு காம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணும்? தட் மீன்ஸ் செல்ஃப்லெஸ் காம்ப்ளிமெண்டிங்.
இது ஃபீல் கிடையாதுங்க. L&D வந்து வாஸ் டேக்கிங் வெரி ப்ரெடாமினன்ட் ரோல் இன் mid-80s. 90s வந்து இந்த பிஸ்னஸ் பார்ட்னரிங்னு கொண்டு வந்துட்டாங்க. ஹெச்ஆரே வந்து இட்ஸ் மெட்டாமார்பசிஸ். அந்த பட்டன் ஃபோன்லேருந்து இப்போ ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபோன் அந்த மாதிரி வந்துருச்சு. ஒரு ஆர்கனைசேஷன் வந்து இட் வில் கோ த்ரூ ஜென்ரலி ஸ்டடீஸ் சே 5 levels ஸ்டார்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்லலாம். STARS, ஸ்டார்ட் அப், டர்ன் அரவுண்ட், ஆக்சிலரேட்டிங் growth companies and realignment companies, as well as sustained success sustaining companies. When HR is sitting in different in any of these given 5 stages, and the thought process different இருக்கணும். For example, startup la HR இருக்கும்போது you have to hire very fast, train people very fast, and align everybody's culture and values to your culture and values. அங்கே நீங்கள் பக்கா பிஹேவியரல் சயின்டிஸ்டாக இருக்கணும். ஒரு பெரிய ஆப்ரேஷனல் மேனேஜர், ஹைரிங் இஸ் அன் ஆப்ரேஷன், அங்கே இருக்கணும். பிஹேவியரல் சயின்டிஸ்டாக இல்லைன்னா யூ வில் பி அட்ராக்டட் ஆர் டெம்ப்டட் டு ஹையர் எனிபடி. So you have to be a perfect selector with lot of conviction to say yes or no as far as the behavioral process is concerned. When it comes to turnaround is nothing but ஒரு ஆர்கனைசேஷன் வந்து நல்லா இருக்கும், ஒரு ஆர்கனைசேஷன் ஒரு நல்ல growthல இருக்கும், somehow they ignore to sense the early signals, அப்படியே ஒரு மாதிரி டிசாஸ்டருக்கு போகும். அதை வந்து டர்ன் அரவுண்ட் பண்ணணும். Public sector, I'm sorry to say, many public sectors in the past வந்து we used to hear யாராவது டர்ன் அரவுண்ட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்களா, இந்த கம்பெனி யாராவது எடுத்துட்டு சீர்திருத்த மாட்டாங்களான்ற ஒரு ஃபீல் வரும் பார்த்தீங்களா, அது டர்ன் அரவுண்ட். நீங்கள் டர்ன் அரவுண்ட் ஸ்டேஜில் எது சொன்னாலும் கேட்பாங்க. Your employees will be ready because they want somebody to come and keep it straight. They want the regular salaries, they want securities for the job. அது ஒன்று தான். அந்த டர்ன் அரவுண்ட் டைமில் HR will have to enforce lot of discipline, lot of framework, which will help the organization to sustain for next 20-25 years. The turnaround stage வந்து lot of weeding out process also is very essential. அங்கே HR will have to be very ruthless, at the same time very what should I say, emotionally intelligent to spot out the good talent. நீங்கள் abnormal growth சில பேருக்கு கொடுக்க வேண்டி வரும். hierarchy break பண்ணணும் turnaroundல. And the organization, you should convince everybody that we should shamelessly seek the knowledge and wisdom from outside. For example, Nokia, I don't know whether I should quote. What happened to Nokia? ஒரு ஸ்டேஜில் வந்து it has reached a stage where the turnaround just was not possible at all. அது ஏன்னா accelerated growth. The smart companies, for example, Apple iPhone, அது ஆக்சலரேட் க்ரோத் ஆகிட்டே இருக்கும். தே வில் நாட் வெயிட் ஃபார் யுவர் சேச்சுரேட்டட் டைம். அங்கங்கே வந்து ரெனோவேட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு போயிட்டே இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ வென் யூ கீப் ஆன், வென் யூ விஷ் டு கண்டினியூ டு ஹாவ் த ஆக்சலரேட்டட் க்ரோத், HR will have to think like an R&D specialist. உங்களுக்கு you have to bring in lot of external talents to inside. உள்ளே இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு சொல்லணும், வெக்கப்பட வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை. We have to continue to keep the growth accelerated. Then ரீஅலைன்மெண்ட் வந்து ஒரு கொஞ்சம் நமக்கு ஏர்லி சிக்னல்ஸ் வரும். அந்த ஏர்லி சிக்னல்ஸ் வரும்போது ஆர்கனைசேஷன் வந்து சரிப்படுத்திக்கும். Many of our organizations would have gone through this realignment stages. For example, I worked for a company called Pfizer just before some 3-4 years, ஒரு 7 years ஒர்க் பண்ணேன். இந்த 7 yearsல I could experience 2 realignment phases. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் பேஸ்ட் ஆர்கனைசேஷனாக இருந்தது ஃபைசர். டிஸ்கவரி ட்ரக், ஜெனரிக் ட்ரக் அண்ட் வேக்சின்ஸ் அப்படி இருந்தது. அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து தே ஹாவ் ஸ்பிளிட் தட் அண்ட் டெரிட்டரி பேஸ்டாக ஆக்குனாங்க. இப்போ அதை எடுத்துட்டு தே ஹவ் கிரியேட்டட் எ நியூ கம்பெனி ஃபார் ஜெனரிக் அண்ட் டிஸ்கவரி, அவ்வளோதான். த வேக்சின் ஹஸ் பீன் அவுட் சோர்ஸ்ட். ஸோ தே ஹாவ் சென்ஸ்ட் twice during this 7 years of span of my tenure over there and realigned themselves. அங்கே வந்து HR will have to என்ன சொல்கிறது, business acumen, what I said, we have to read a lot, we have to mostly spend time with the leaders. ஒரு ஸ்டூல் கொடுங்க, ஒரு கார்னரில் உட்காரன்னு கேட்டுட்டு ஒரு கார்னர் ரூமில் உட்காந்து நிறைய கேட்கணும் நாங்கள். we should listen நம்ம. Then last stage வந்து sustaining growth. சஸ்டைனிங் க்ரோத்னா நம்ம வி ஆர் தி பெஸ்ட் இல்லையா? அந்த இடத்துல இருக்கும்போது ஒரு 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 காம்ப்ளசன்சி ஃபீலிங் வரும். நத்திங், மெனி ஆஃப் அவர் கம்பெனிஸ் விச் ஹாஸ் பீன் ஒரு 40 இயர்ஸாக இருக்கும் கம்பெனிஸ், நீங்கள் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. அப்படியே இருக்கும். அவங்க எது என்னன்னாக்கா டாப் லைன் பாட்டம் லைன் மட்டும் கவனிச்சுக்கிட்டே போவாங்க. 20 வருஷமாக அதே 100 கோடியிலே ஓடுவாங்க. ஒரு 10% ப்ராஃபிட் வந்தால் போதும். ஒரு நாள் சடனாக இட் வில் கோ டு எ டாக். That's called sustaining success is also dangerous. அந்த இடத்துல வந்து HR will have to be very smart. அங்கே என்ன தேவைன்னாக்கா நிறைய நியூ breed of employees வேணும், நிறைய நியூ தாட்ஸ் வேணும். So unless we understand the different phases of an organization, நம்ம திவேதி மாதிரி லீடர் கிட்ட நம்ம பேச முடியாது, போயிட்டு கிட்டே போக முடியாது, அவர் விட மாட்டார். அவர்கிட்ட போய் இந்த ஸ்டேஜில் இருக்கோம், நம்ம இதை பண்ணணும், இதெல்லாம் தேவை அப்படின்னு நம்ம கேட்க முடியாது. ஸோ அந்த ஸ்டேஜுக்கு we have to evolve ourselves. That's my short answer. Got it?
Yes, sir. Fantastic, sir. So, if I'm right, no, sir. It all depends upon the stage of the company. That means at which business stage the company is and the type of the business it does.
Absolutely.
Right,
stage and vision. See, we have to influence the stage
and the type.
The HR can, நான் behavioral நான் ஏன் சொல்கிறேன்னா, we move with people and we know the sentiments of people.
Yes, sir.
See, more than what we hear from people through your opinion surveys and online tests, காரிடாரில் வராண்டாவில் கேட்குறது தான் உண்மையான ஒப்பீனியன், உண்மையான ஃபீட்பேக். அது நமக்கு தெரியும். டு சம் அப், ஸோ அதை கண்டென்ஸ் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு with the business knowledge and with the knowledge of where the organization is navigating and what kind of signals we get. Business எப்படி போகுதுங்கிறது வந்து you don't need to look at the statistics. ஒரு டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டில் ஒவ்வொருத்தர் அங்கங்கே பேசிகிட்டே இருப்பாங்க வாஷ்ரூமில். That itself will tell you a lot of stories.
Thank you, sir.
I still remember, I used to struggle a lot to summarize the corridor talks. Dr.M.Ramakrishnan, who was the keynote speaker, ஒரு 20 வருஷத்துக்கு முந்தி, when I was very young, I was in my early 30s, I used to go and bother him a lot during almost all the Sundays. ஒரு ரெஸ்டாரண்ட்டுக்கு வாங்க, எனக்கு ஏதாவது சொல்லுங்க, and he used to give me a lot of notes. சார் அந்த மாதிரி பேசுகிறான், இந்த மாதிரி கான்வர்சேஷன் நடக்குது அமாங் த எம்ப்ளாயீஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் லெவல்ஸில், வாட் டஸ் இட் டெல்? ஸோ யூஸ் டு அவுட் ஆஃப் ஹிஸ் விஸ்டம் யூஸ் டு சே அதுக்கு இதுதான் அர்த்தம். ஸோ யூ வெயிட் ஃபார் திஸ் டு ஹேப்பன், திஸ் ஆர் த சிக்னல்ஸ் யூ ஆர் கெட்டிங்னு. ஸோ சிமிலர்லி ஓகே, அந்த டைமில் டிஜிட்டல் சப்போர்ட் எதுவும் இல்லை. வி ஹாவ் டு கோ அண்ட் பாதர் சம் மென்டர்ஸ் லைக் டாக்டர் ராம்கி. நவ் வி ஹாவ் லாட் ஆஃப் சப்போர்ட் சிஸ்டம். And the leaders like Dwivedi, they are open, they are welcoming. Our 3 times solitaire, come to the boardroom, take the front seat in solitaire. So there is no need for HR to wait for anything. We have to open up beyond the recruitment, training, performance, statutory compliance, welfare, and the MIS monthly report. இதிலிருந்து கொஞ்சம் வெளியில் வந்தாலே போதும். We can do a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And this is a question to Dwivedi, sir. Sir, at one point you are told that HR should play the primary role, that is ownership role. And on the other stand, you are told that HR's absence must be felt, and they should take a back seat. And it is quite conflicting, right? It is taking ownership, it is prime, and taking a back seat, it is second. And we need some clarity in it. Thank you, sir.
Oh, maybe, sir, I'm sorry if I have been wrongly understood. Maybe I have not explained properly. I clearly mean, I personally feel that anyone and everyone, especially the younger team, if anything is made in this world, it is meant for me also. So if I work in the organization, if there's a boardroom, it's for me also. I'm not in that category that should at least sincerely believe that. What I'm saying is that the certain functions, okay, they have to be in their role is that why HR is here? HR is here to create more HR people. For example, if a person does not listen to his supervisor, one is HR person goes and counsels him. The second is he creates that supervisor so that he himself counsels it. Isn't it? The teacher prepares the children so that they can go and write the exam, not that the teacher will go and write the exam. So HR has to create more leaders. So they have to be in the back from that point of view. While doing that, they must understand it's a very critical role. You can see the cricket team today. The coach role has suddenly been so important. Ravi Shastri and on whatnot is being discussed. They don't go and play on the pitch. But they have a very crucial role. So much so that now there's another coach who is going to control them emotionally and whatnot, psychologically. So that's my understanding if I haven't been able to clear it. Okay. And connected with this, I sincerely believe, youngsters, please believe anything made in this world is for you too. Wherever you are, whenever you are, in whatever stage of life, in whatever conditions of life. Why do we attend these seminars? Not that we are talking something you will go and use it immediately. We all know, in the Google's world, nothing new can be talked. In what context we talk, from what perspective we talk is important. So if anything is meant for in this world, is there in the world, for me too. That's what I mean.
It was a wonderful hearing all of you. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Purni. I'm a happiness and success coach and founder of Happiness and Success Academy. I've been doing HR consulting for a lot of corporates. This is one major challenge that I find when I do consulting or auditing with a lot of corporates. The thing is, like, when we recruit a person, we see two things. One is their attitude and their skill level. In the initial stage of recruiting, what we normally do is, we see if their attitude is good, we hire them and then train them on the skills. When the years go on, what happens is their skill set will increase, and sometimes there is a tendency that the attitude of the person goes down. Now, what happens, there is a fix here for the organization because he's been there for a very long time. But now his attitude is not so good. He cannot be immediately fired also. And there is when I tell the people there, this person is not, maybe his skill set is good, but attitude-wise he's not contributing and he's bringing the morale of the other people in the team down. There is a big question mark whether to fire him or not. And that is like a fix for a lot of companies. So anybody can answer on that.
I think Mr. Vijay, Kumar or Siddhartha can take it this.
Yep. So I think it's a very good question, right? And perhaps in most of our life cycles we'll go through this. We'll have a subordinate like this, right? And so what we have to understand in this very critically is that, and at least I can tell you from a Unilever perspective, we absolutely see the attitude first, because skills, most of the organization will believe that we will be able to train him up and will upskill the persons, right? In this entire, in this, what you said, he's doing a role and all he might have an attitude down. Like most of us today in our organization, we see the organization not by the CEO who is there, right? The CEO has a type of influence in the way the organization runs, the way it's a purpose-driven, value-driven, and that's the way the culture is there. But most of us will see the organization, how are my line manager behaving with me? That's why in Unilever what we do generally is that, if the first line manager is saying this candidate is not good and I'm not getting the requisite amount of output, the ownership, we then give a second chance. We then move him to another line manager on another space or another place and all that, and then have another opinion, whether it's a line manager issue or whether this candidate. With two line managers, if you see the problem consistent, and the nature of feedback from the two line managers is quite gelling, then definitely there's something to be done. At that point of time is definitely what will happen in Unilever is that we have some amount of mentoring and coaching also, right? So in every functional resource meeting that we do, whom to be promoted, who has to be rated where, we will actually designate a mentor for him or a coach for him, right? and try to then see another third attempt whether this candidate is changing or not. It's after around 3 years that we generally had to part ways, right? It's not the first thing, because most of us will say that it could be an issue with the line manager also, right? The inclusivity can be less, preference of the line manager to a particular gender, particular orientation can be totally different, right? So we don't decide on the talent separation on the first line manager's feedback. It is done after 2 to 3 feedbacks, right? Because there are cases which we have seen in this, our own organization, that with a particular line manager this guy was not doing good. When he has moved to another line manager is doing good. Maybe that he wanted to do something, so you give him another, you have a discussion, he wants to do some other roles. You put him in that role, the guy does very well, right? So I think we cannot go by one feedback that this guy is not doing and his attitude is down. There could be some other factors which is bringing it down.
Thank you for the answer. Normally, this attitude problem after years of thing is seen in the manager level. At the senior manager or manager level, where the complaints come from the employees. So that is the major thing.
I just have a small take on this. There is a saying, a man cannot have the same experience twice. A man cannot have the same experience twice, as the man is never same twice. Have you seen how we have gone to the college in UG first year and PG first year? You go to Delhi University or even any college, the girls, when they go to the first year UG and first year PG or boys, their dress style is very different. I will bring something else here. That's where HR role, Vignesh, is very important. Why did the person change his attitude? Has somebody got into it? He is also in the job. Everything is at stake at him. When you have been grooming, his expectations has also been changing. So he has been working hard, you hired him, you invested in him, and he has started working, responding to your training and developments. And then if you have not positioned him properly, is it not little natural for him to feel irritated? And if we don't get into that kind of exercise and say he is bad and bring somebody else, so now separation exercise, bringing a new person, 6 months, and that's where I said HR has to intervene. No. Is there another aspect to this? I don't know. Why do we believe that that man is not very keen to groom himself? Maybe he needs some push. He needs some proper guidance. He needs some initiative from the management also, supervise also. I don't know. It's a challenging question. It's not that simple that whether we decide to. Separation must be the last. You only think that this separation will bring a new person good. We all have left many companies. Finally, it's all same.
I'll just add a few more things, right? I think, just giving my experience in that, right, I'll tell you one more aspect. Today when I will be evaluated for my performance, right, there's one of the element that is there. There is called a 360-degree feedback, right? And that is very importantly taken. How my superiors feels about me, myself, how I feel, how my superior feels about me, how my subordinates feels about me, and how my peer groups feels on me. This 360-degree is an important feedback which is there for any future career decisions, right? If you find that there's a problem in this, definitely this is then, actually there with the HRBP and the line manager. So it is an important part of discussions whether me as a talent will grow in this organization or not. If my attitude, and that's leading to a very high attrition rates, it's a problem which needs to be solved, right? So that's also is there. Unilever as an organization has lasted more than 100 years. In this, if you see globally, there are very, very few organization was lasted 100 years. And the reason for that, in the last decade, Unilever's, and Vignesh Singh being my unit HR manager there, we have this concept of Univoice survey, right? We take feedback from all levels of managers and blue collar employees also, right? How do they feel? And it has got a multiple questions. It has got it is an online survey. It's anonymous, so you don't have to name where you are from. What is your name? So that much of protection is given. You give a very honest feedback to the organization. And then the organization then actually develops a plan, how am I going to improve my scores on different elements, right? If you feel, a lot of time, Unilever being very large, the feedback is that we are very slow in responding to the market, right? And when this consistent feedback is there, and even when the shareholders question, Alan and everybody in the AGM, that's the time when you recognize that, you need to change the organizational structure. And it's a very big decision to change structures of organization of such a big company. Right, and then, so I'm saying we now need to respond faster. That's why we have moved into a category organization. I'm moving into it, right? So I'm saying there are feedback forums which gets created. And I think this get created by HR, and the business leads, that we want to hear our people, what they say about this organization, right? One is definitely the consumer perspective, one is customer perspective, and then your employer's perspective. So Unilever, we don't run this business to create value for shareholders. That automatically will happen. If you see in our vision statement, it is no more that will create value for shareholders. It is to make people feel good and make best out of their life.
I will just add for a minute. The simple technical straight answer for this is have a very robust goal setting process and a very meaningful practical performance appraisal process and a good talent management and talent review process. Technically, theoretically, that is fine. But things are not working out to the way you desire. Even if you put all this process in place, you need to check the process again. Do some repair and tinkering. While saying so, if you ignore or if you get a complacent feel that no, the system that we have is best of the systems that are available in the world, allowing this, the individuals to be like that will cause a lot of emotional expense. Okay, the very negative radiance will spread very, very fast, and there will be dozens and dozens of such individuals will get originated very soon. So therefore, then again, technical I spoke. Now, here the psychological game. The HR will have to step in as a psychologist and will have to do something over here. The conversations, I would say, candid conversations. This is not the problem with the company you are working. This is the universal problem, let me tell you. Somebody attitudinally bad, technically very strong, or technically is much needed to the organization can't do away with him. Organizations will have a lot of apprehensions that if this fellow goes, what will happen to the business? It will get collapsed, and my American market is going to get collapsed. All the statutory authorities are going to come and seal the gate. All the apprehensions we will have. So we live in a lot of apprehensions. At the same time, we allow them to live in their own world. There is a danger. There is the bad patch of this episode. It's a mix and match, I would say, technical and psychological game. And HR will have to demonstrate high degree of conviction to straighten up these cases. By the way, she was my co-learner in NLP some 6-7 years ago in NLP program, Neuro-Linguistic program. Thank you.
Very nice meeting you today. And thank you all for your brilliant inputs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we take a last question?
Sir, this question is from a student's point of view. Basically, as an HR, what is your perspective among students and what do you expect from them as a fresher?
Okay, as a fresher, good to focus on 3 things. Okay, first, understand the business. Don't think that business is a big myth and it's a big ghost I can't understand. No. If you're working in a chemical industry, just Google. It will throw you a lot of videos. And if you're in a glass making industry, it will throw a lot of things. The best of the things, you can download a lot of wisdom which the hands-on people in the organization already don't have. That's number one. Number two, gain acceptance. When I say acceptance, don't gain acceptance by pleasing others. Gain acceptance by demonstrating your character and your knowledge. They won't expect a kind of, an HR expert like, knowledge demonstration from you. They will expect very basics. Be strong in basics. Character and business acumen and demonstration of very basic skills. That's enough. In addition to that, have a mentor or coach. So I have no hesitation to say, even last week also I went to his office, Dr. Ramakrishnan. I know that I can get him only during lunch breaks, 1:30 to 2. I just barge in, because if I ask for an appointment, he will say, no, I'm busy. Another 1:30 nera gate lo poidu. So don't hesitate to have a mentor or coach outside. Don't think that we are great. Absolutely no. Every glass needs some top up. Ninga water saapalana kuda adu evaporate aidum, top up pannite iruknom. Though there is no consumer of a glass of water, it will automatically get evaporated. It needs top up. So therefore have the mentor. These are the 4 things I would like to tell you. Read a lot. Nariya padinga. And go and talk to the people, who are employed, the HR people, as business people. More than talking to HR people, talk to business people, talk to production managers, talk to finance heads, talk to the very senior colleagues, leaders like Mr. Dwivedi and Mr. Nandy. They'll give you a lot of things. Do bother them, keep bothering them. And there is a good, well-connected consultant sitting left to you. And people like her can definitely help you to establish network. These are the 4 tricks. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the audience, and it's a time for me to say gratitude for all the panel members. You made a time out of your all busy schedules and you came over here, and definitely on behalf of Pondicherry HR Circle and all the organizing committee, I should express my sincere gratitude to Dwivedi sir, Andal madam, and Vijay Kumar, and also Siddhartha. Thank you very much, and definitely we had a very insightful, thought-oriented session today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope it was a wonderful and lively discussion. PDY HRC sees all of us as future HR leaders, and we trust there were several key takeaways for all of us from this session. I request the dignitaries to stay back for a couple of minutes. I request Dr. Ramakrishnan to join them on the dais. PDY HRC organized a PowerPoint presentation competition for the students pursuing MBA at SMVC on the topic employee relations. The preliminary competitions were held at Mr. Sesarad's Inspire IAS Academy on 28 January 2022. 7 teams participated in the preliminary competition, which was evaluated by Mr. Arul Murugan and Ms. Bhuvaneshwari. 5 teams were qualified for the final round, which was held at the same venue on 23rd January 2022. The final competition was evaluated by Mr. Varadarasu, Mr. Gopu, and Ms. Lokeshwari. Out of these 5 teams, 1 team was adjudged to receive the Golden Award, and the balance 3 teams for the Bronze Award. All the participants will either receive an award or participation certificate. We thank the jury members for evaluating the teams. We have 3 categories of awards, the first being the Golden Award, the second is a Silver, and the third is a Bronze. The Bronze Award will be distributed by Mr.J.Vijay. Ready? The Bronze Award winners are Brinda, Gayatri, Madhumita, Anandan, Vetrivel, Soumya Narayanan, Pavitran, Pugarendi, and Shahrukh Khan. Anandan, Vetrivel, Vetrivel, Soumya Narayanan, Pavitran, Pugarendi, and Shah Rukh Khan. Thank you, Mr. Vijay Kumar. The next award will be handed over by Dr.M. Ramakrishnan. To keep the excitement going, we'll now have the Golden Award with a countdown. Can we? Yes. Okay. So the countdown, please. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the Golden Award goes to Vijayalakshmi, Reshma Banu and Varshini. Congratulations. Vijayalakshmi, Reshma Banu and Varshini. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. C.S. Dwivedi to distribute the Silver Award. The Silver Award winners are Haripreeta, Anjali Kumari, and Ashwati. Thank you, Mr. Dwivedi. I request Mr. Siddhartha Nandy to give the certificate of participation to Lokesh, Mukesh, and Gokul. Lokesh, Mukesh, and Gokul. Thank you, Mr. Siddhartha Nandy. I request Ms.Andal to hand over the participation certificate to Guberin, Krishna Kumar, and Suresh Krishna. Thank you, Ms. Andal. I request the dignitaries to take your honorable seats off the dais. Thank you so much. Guests, just give us another 10 minutes. We'll wind up the event. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And if I don't mention this, I wouldn't make justice to this event. The first committee meeting for the 5th annual convention of Puducherry Human Resource Circle was held on 12th December 2021. Despite several challenges faced by each one of us, this dynamic team has achieved in the grand success of this mammoth event at a very short span. I request the two pillars of Puducherry Human Resource Circle and our heroes, Mr. MVK and Mr. DD, to honor the committee members. I request them to come on to the dais, please. I also request the committee members to stay back for a group photograph after receiving the honors. So just stay back near the dais. I request the following members to come forward to the dais to receive the honors. Ms. Aarti, HR Talent Acquisition Group, Tata Consultancy Services Private Limited. Mr. Arul Murugan, Trainer and Consultant. Mr. Balamurali, Officer, HR General Asia Optics Private Limited. Ms. Bhuvaneshwari, Manager, HR and Admin, Sri Aurobindo Society. Ms. Divya Lakshmi, Executive HR, Ms. Divya Yoga Lakshmi, Executive HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited. I request Mr. MVK to give an honor to Mr. Dudley Douglas, GM HR and Admin, Vimca Groups. Yes, it is Divya Yoga Lakshmi, Executive HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited. Mr. Gokul, Business Analyst, HCL Services.
And special mention to AV.
Yes, special appreciations to Gokul for all his wonderful efforts for making this AV. Mr. Gopu, Executive Manager HR, Chemplas Kadlur Venice Limited. Mr. Harihara Pandian, DGM HR, Librax Rubber Line Private Limited, and the Vice President of Puducherry Human Resource Circle. Please come forward. What did I do?
Come on.
I'm very sorry. Harihara Pandian, DGM HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited, and the Vice President of Puducherry Human Resource Circle. I'm extremely sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. I invite Mr. Krishna Raj, Manager HR, Librax Rubber Line Private Limited, to come forward.
He and Sai Arun was responsible for the monthly calendar. Next, 2:30 மணிக்கு உட்கார்ந்து எங்க வீட்ல கொண்டு டெலிவர் பண்ணாங்க.
I request Mr. Dudley Douglas to honor Mr. M.V. Kannan, Head HR and Admin, General Optics Asia Limited. Ms. Lokeshwari S., Assistant Manager, HR and Admin, Natural Capsules Private Limited. Ms. Nisha, HR Officer, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute.
Nisha has every year supported with us with the medical support.
Mr. D. Roji, Manager HR and Admin, Electrotech Engineers. And the Treasurer of Puducherry Human Resource Circle. Mr. Satish, Officer, Statutory Compliance, SPI Global. Okay. Mr. Sai Arun, Manager HR and Admin, Sharon Solutions Limited.
The second team member of the AV team and the monthly calendar.
Mr. Seren Senguttuvan, Plant Head, HR and IR, CMR Toitsu, India Limited, Chennai. Ms. Tamil Chelvi, Senior Executive HR, Chemfab Alkalis Limited.
Newsletter, she was the one who was coordinating fully. So she, but still she got it done. Thank you, fully.
Mr. Varadarasu, Manager HR and IR, Swastik Groups. And the Secretary of Puducherry Human Resource Circle. Mr. Vigneshwar Hedge, Manager HR, Hindustan Unilever Limited. Mr. Vigneshwar Hegde, Manager HR, Hindustan Unilever Limited. Mr. Vinod Kumar, Plant HR, Kevin Care Private Limited.
உங்கள் கையில் ஒரு சின்ன பாட்டில் இருக்குல்ல 90 ml அந்த சானிடைசரை அவர் ஸ்பான்சர் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. Let us, safety and health of us has been taken care by him.
Thank you, Vinod. Ms. Surekha, Management Student, Sri Manakula Vinayagar Engineering College. Mr. Vivian, Management Student, Sri Manakula Vinayagar Engineering College.
Hiring workers, future employers, look at two dynamic people, you can straight away recruit them after their MBA. I can assure you that they will be the best people in your office.
And finally,
Ms. Sivaranjani, Senior Executive HR, Lumina Datamatics.
thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you. Photographs, sir, please. Can we have the committee members quickly on the dais? Quickly. Thank you, thank you. Feeling a gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. I invite Mr. Gopu, Executive Manager HR, Chemplast Kadlu Vinis Limited, to deliver the gratitude note.
All, it is a great honor to express gratitude to all those who made this event happen. First, we thank all those present here and made this event memorable. I express our thanks to the dignitaries Dr.M.Ramakrishnan, Mr. C.S. Dwivedi, Mr.J.Vijay Kumar, Mr.Siddhartha Nandy, and Ms.Andal.G, who accepted our invitation and graced the occasion. Thank you, Vigneshwar, for moderating the discussions. We express our thanks to our sponsors, Mrs. Alpha Group of Institutions, SMVEC, MBIT, Lock Scheme Solutions, Marvel Management, Workaholic, Lebrox Rubber Lining, Chemfab Ilgalis, GDA Security, Batmas Catering, and Sai Sakteswari. A special thanks to Mrs. Alpha Group of Institutions for offering their hall for hosting the monthly meetings of POHRC. We also thank Ms. Nisha and team from Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute for carrying out screening of participants of the event. We thank Mr. Vinod Kumar of Kevin Care for sponsoring individual hand sanitizers. We also thank Ms. Lokeshwari for compiling the list of participants and for collating the vaccination certificate of participants. We thank Mr. Dr. S. Bhaskaran, SP, Puducherry Police for gracing this occasion. We thank student volunteers led by Mr. Vivian and Ms. Surekha from SMVEC for supporting this event. We thank Sri Sagalan, Legal Advisor of PDOHC. Our gratitude to the editorial committee, Ms. Tamichelvi, R. Balamurli, and Sadish Kumar. We thank Mr. Harihara Pandian, Mr. Varavarasu, and Mr. Roji for delivering the welcome address, annual report, and treasurer report. We express our thanks to our auditor, Mr. R. Ravichandran, for auditing our accounts. We thank placement officers, Mr. Kalilasam of SMGC, Mr. Jayakumar of MVIT, and Mr. Srinivasan of RGCET. We thank Mr. Sai Arun for ensuring issue first set of ID cards to PDOI HRC members. We express our thanks to the Hotel Management Mrs. Anandayan for extending the spacious venue for hosting this event by following COVID protocols. At this juncture, we express our special thanks to Mr. Harihara Pandian for organizing this event venue. Our thanks are due to Mr. Arul Murugan, Mr. J. Bhuvaneshwari, Mr. A. Varavarasu, and Mr. S. Gopu and Ms. Lokeshwari for evaluating the PowerPoint presentation on employee relations by MBA students of SMBSC. We wholeheartedly thank Mr. Sesaraj for generously offering the venue to host the preliminary and final competitions at Inspire IAS Academy. We thank Ms. G. Bhuvaneshwari and Ms. Divya Yogalakshmi for organizing the mementos, awards, and committee badges for this event. The AV team comprising of Mr. Sai Arun, Mr. Krishnaraj, and Mr. Google deserves special prize for the wonderful teaser and the AV about PDOHRC. Thank you, AV team. We thank banquet team, Mr. Varavarasu and Ms. Divya Yogalakshmi. Next mentioned they are going to ensure banquet arrangements. Thank you, team. We thank the reception committee members, Mr. Balamurli, Roji, and Ms. Harthi for ensuring hassle-free registrations for this event. The stage managing committee, Mr. S. Kopu and Ms. Tamichelvi will manage the stage very well with the support from Saram Sengutuvan, who always chips in the executive invitations and backdrop. Thank you, stage managing committee. We express our thanks to Mr. Harihara Pandian and Ms. G. Bhuvaneshwari for coordinating with the sponsors for this event. Special thanks to Ms. G. Bhuvaneshwari for organizing the customized notepads. We thank Mr. Krishnaraj for ensuring printing of monthly compliance calendar of 2021 and 2022. We thank Mr. Dudley Douglas, our past president and mentor, for guiding and supporting us all along. We thank him for organizing the photograph coverage of this event. We also thank the photography team Sivaranjan for covering this event. We thank Sivaranjan for comparing the event. Our sincere thanks to Mr. M.V. Kannan, PDOHRC President, for his continuous support, guidance and encouragement to make this event as a grand success. We express our thanks to media personnel for extending coverage of this event. Special thanks to Mr. Saravanan of Makkal Modi Media for covering our events from time to time. This event was well orchestrated by our dynamic team of Aarthi, Arul Murugan, Balamurali, Bhuneshwari, Divya Yogalakshmi, Dudley Douglas, Gokul, Gopu, Arigara Pandian, Krishna Raj, M.V. Kannan, Logeshwari, Nisha, Ramachandran, Roji, Sadish, Sai Arun, Saran Sengutuvan, Sivaranjani, Tamichelvi, Varadarasu, Vigneshwar Egde, Vinod Kumar, Sureka. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Gopu. Dr. S. Bhaskaran wants to add something on the summarizing note of the panel discussion. So give us just 1 minute on it.
எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். இப்போ நம்ம HR அசோசியேஷன் மூலிமா இந்த அளவுக்கு ஒரு ஆனுவல் கான்வகேஷன் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க. ஒரு பேனல் டிஸ்கஷன் நடந்தது. அதோட எக்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட் என்னன்னா, HR மேனேஜர்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், நீங்க தான் எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரு ஃபேமிலி, நீங்க தான் வந்து விவசாயி. HR மேனேஜருக்கு எப்போதுமே நான் பெரியவனா அவங்க பெரியவனா, நான் ஓனரா அவங்க ஓனரா என்ற எண்ணம் வர சுத்தமாக கூடாது. இதுதான் அதோடைய மெயின் எக்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட். ஒரு கல்டிவேஷன் பண்ணக்குள்ள நம்ம எதை கல்டிவேஷன் பண்றோமோ அது செழுமையா இருக்கணும்ன்றது தான் HR-உடைய மெயின் விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷனா இருக்கணும். அதுக்கு தே ஷுட் பி சப்போர்ட்டிவ். விவசாயி எப்படி களை எடுப்பானோ அந்த மாதிரி களை எடுக்கணும், எப்போ எடுக்கணும், யாரை எடுக்கணும்ன்றத சைக்காலஜிக்கல் சோஷியல் பீயிங் நல்லா ஞாபகம் வச்சுங்க. நீங்க இருக்கிறது HR, நீங்க யாருக்கிட்ட விளையாடுறீங்க, ஒரு சோஷியல் பீயிங். அவனுக்கு ஃபேமிலியில் என்ன பிரச்சனைன்னு தெரியாது, இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில் என்ன பிரச்சனைன்னு தெரியாது. அந்த மேனேஜர் காசு கொடுத்து நம்ம சொல்ற ஐடியாவை காது கொடுத்து கேட்கிறாரான்னு தெரியாது. ஒரு எம்ப்ளாயி சிறு துரும்பா இருந்தாலும் பல் குத்த உதவுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. நம்மளுடைய அக்ரிகல்ச்சர், நம்மளுடைய கல்டிவேஷனுக்கு சிலது தேவைப்படும், சிலது தேவைப்படாது. அது வேலை செய்கிற நிறைய பேரால அப்சர்வ் பண்ணி பிசிக்கலா சொல்ல முடியும். அதை மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டுக்கு எடுத்துக்கிட்டு போறதும் நம்ம தான், அதை கட் பண்ணி தனிப்படுத்துறதும் அவங்க தான். நோ எம்ப்ளாயி ஷுட் கெட் சேச்சுரேஷன். யாருக்குமே சேச்சுரேஷன் இல்லாம மெயின்டைன் பண்ணிக்கணும். அப்பதான் அந்த நிலம் செழுமையா இருக்கும், பயிர் செழிப்பா இருக்கும். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Thank you, sir. PDOHRC meets at the third Saturday of every month for the monthly discussions. Thank you, and I invite the choir for the national anthem. Let's pay homage to our nation.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जाहे तब शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
With the signing note, I thank each one of you for making this HR Summit a grand gala success. Thank you so much. The buffet counter is open. Please join us for the lunch. Bon appétit.